We remain in the state of Florida, but the venue has changed here for the Galaxy Cup Series. I am Chad Irvine. Here along with me is Eric Weiland, this time joining first time in the booth this season. Eric, glad to have you with us.
Hey, I appreciate it, Chad. Glad to be out here with you guys for yet another cup race. Decided to not enter myself into it. No time on Homestead considering the truck series isn't here this week. So ready to watch these guys go 267 laps around this, what I feel is the best intermediate track on the entire schedule.
And we are set, you said 267 laps. That is 400 miles here at Homestead. And Jake Hickson with the Majors Garage Pole Award. We'll go through your starting lineup as well here. Dane Cruz starting outside of row number 1. Row number 2, Dylan Kreitz and Robert Anderson. Then Figliola and Alex Prince in row 3. Ty Ippolito and Jason Taylor, row number 4. Terry Cooper Jr. and Cameron Caldwell wrap up your top 10.
Row 6 inside is Austin Reedy making his Galaxy Cup Series debut. Flanking him to the outside is the 11 of Jason Chambers. Row 7, Dakota Knoll in the 55 with Shauna O'Brien to his outside. Nolan Hawkson and David Fuge make up row number 8, followed by Zach Probst and David Duke. Looking to have some strong runs here tonight. And rounding out your top 20, Cody Luke in the 8, followed by on his outside by the number 3 machine, Brian Mabry.
In the 11th row, Alonzo Chicano and Andrew Jones, followed by Rutherford and Loy in row 12. Coppernell and Gaiman, then Pataska, Schmidt, Medeiros, Drummiller, then Boisvert and Proudfoot row 16. 17 is Franks and Roel. Brett Bennett in row 18. Outside is Andrew Russo, the only car to not set a qualifying time, but we're rolling around towards the green flag. We're set to go racing.
267 laps. These guys are going to have a lot of fun tonight, Chad.
We're getting set for what's going to be a great show here in the Galaxy Cup Series. We get underway here, and there you see off to a great start is the 32 on the inside, getting a huge shot from Dylan Kreitz, and they're side by side. The only person clear is out in front, and that's Jake Hickson.
Stage 1's going to end on lap 80, but you see these guys are going for some track position already. Dylan getting himself a great jump there on the start. We'll follow Jake Hickson over here into turn 3.
Yeah, he got away cleanly, got a good jump there, and the 36 out behind him as well. Looks like the top 5 all getting clear, but some trouble in behind them as well. So as we wrap up lap number 1, it's Hickson, Kreitz, Figliola, or Cruz, Figliola, and then Anderson, your top 5.
They fanned out behind him. We see the battle here between Ty Ippolito and the 19, the 18 of Robert Anderson. Give that position to Ty Ippolito. What a move there. Strong on the bottom. The bottom's going to be the dominant lane for now, Chad. Here early in the race, we see a blinking Dane Cruz up there on the top. And hopefully the connection issues are going to clear up what we had last week.
That is going to be scary for these guys. iRacing has, of course, had some issues with their connections, but this doesn't seem related to that because that was a massive, massive issue over in last week's race. Some of you may recall from Daytona at the road course, just a wave of disconnects impacting a bunch of cars, especially in the middle of the pack.
New leader out front. Dylan has powered his way by Jake and now sits 4/10 clear of your pole sitter. Dylan's the fastest car on track right now. He's really taking advantage of it. Wonder if Jake's trying to save a little bit of tire here for a potential long run. These guys cannot make it on fuel, Chad, here in this first stage. So it'll be interesting to see what the pit strategy is as we continue.
Yeah, especially as tires start to break down, we're going to see some of these guys just trying to take their time, save their tires, and maybe try to have a little bit at the end of every single run to try to keep things rolling. And what a pack of cars there going through turn 3 and 4. About 15 rows or so it feels like side by side, and this is further back in the pack, but wow, I mean, these guys are doing a great job holding their line, keeping things. People talk about how there's a lack of multi-groove racing here in iRacing, but that's not the case here tonight.
Yeah, Homestead's one of the best tracks to try to provide it. It's still not quite there yet in my experience driving here on the sim. This is the best track that we've seen for it, though. And Kansas, of course, the fast lane's on the wall, so you get a lot of different lanes there. Ooh, I think that was gaming up toward the wall a little bit there. I was going to say, I was keeping my eye on this because the only dynamic autosport driver that was not in the top 5 as they run 2, 3, 4 up front was Dallas Pataska right there in the 23.
And they are 3 wide. They got the 64 on the bottom. That is Jones, and then back behind the 8 and the 11 still side by side, and what a great paint job there for the 8 car.
Off into turn 3 we go. I still think the bottom lane's going to be the place to be right now. We saw the 64 of Jones make it through there. Now Dallas followed him through. Jason trying to take advantage of Cody Luke right here and get that spot.
Yeah, since we are here at Homestead, I do have to do a little bit of self-promotion. I've got a race at the same exact track on Tuesday night in the Tuesday Night Thunder Series in the PM18. So it's going to be a fun pack race at this track for those tiny little open-wheel cars, and catch that one on Raceverse on Tuesday night. And what great sounds we're getting off of these cars as they work their way through turns 1 and 2. Now 36, Dylan Kreitz clear by over a second over Hickson, and what a great job. You know, these cars so well under control, a great field of drivers. Majority of these guys are very high licensed in the iRacing license system, and there is a an approval procedure to be accepted into this league, and 61 almost up into the wall, but able to keep things clean. Oh, he's very loose coming off of 2.
Yeah, he absolutely drugged the wall right there with the right rear. Hopefully it didn't hurt him too much. It looked just like a kiss, which if there's any time to catch the wall at Homestead, it's just kissing the wall. I prefer to do it in the Xfinity car since they have a composite body, but Damon's going to recover here and fall in behind the 47.
I didn't even see any scrapes to the paint last time he went by our cameras on the outside. Great job by him. Great save by Gavin. Just making sure if he did get the wall, it was only a scrape and didn't tear up that right side of the Toyota Camry too much.
Unfortunate news from the pits. Dane Cruz, we saw him blinking in and out with his network connection issue, Chad. He unfortunately throughputed from the race. Has reconnected, but he's already... It was at 4 laps down now, and he just continues to fall here on the green.
And there you see the 22 of Dave Fuge on the inside of Dylan Schmidt, and he's been trying to slowly work his way up through the field. You see the 61 just up in front of him as well. Oh, sliding up just a little bit there was Fuge, but he's able to keep things rolling. He is still side by side, and they're getting very dicey there. Tight. Cody Luke making things very dicey, chopping up to the outside, just cutting the nose off of Boisvert's car.
I'm interested to see this line from Cody because he's kind of fallen into the Tyler Reddick line. He's just kind of ripping the wall right there, but it doesn't look like it paid off for him. He just kind of went backward. Not sure if his car's a little unstable. He's trying to get it to feel a little more comfortable toward the top. Meanwhile, as you pointed out, Dave Fuge back up to the 20th position. He started 16th, so he's falling back a little bit and clawing his way back forward. He's going to make a move here on, I believe, that is the 95 of Nolan Hawkson.
Yeah, maybe just Cody Luke trying to work his way around the outside, maybe see if he can't save his tires but keep his momentum up, not lose too many positions, because it is a long race, and maybe he just wants that pace at the end. Speaking of guys with pace, Dylan Kreitz, his lead is now down to only half of a second.
Yeah, I've been watching the lap times the last couple laps here, and just the last lap example, Jake Hickson down to a 32.82. compared to Dylan's 32.91. So Jake's starting to pick him off 10th here and there right now. And back to 0.3 of a second is his gap. So we'll continue to watch this here as Dylan works his way through 3 and 4. Hopefully he didn't burn up too much rubber too early. We still got about, 65 laps left in stage 1.
Yeah, not much of a fight being put up by Hickson at the start of the run. He just kind of let Kreitz go and just able to stay in line. But Brandon Figliola, he's charging hard right there. He's got a decent gap out in front and out the back as well. So a lot of these guys up front just able to hit their marks with clean racetrack around them and keep things rolling in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. You see the 7 there working off of turn 4. I'm still got my eyes back here in the back of the pack, just watching this nest of drivers side by side with each other. Right now, the 85 and the 84. That is Medarios and Mike Tellier over here in turn 1. Meanwhile, up front, we continue to watch Brandon closing in ever so slightly, but I believe the battle for the lead, Chad, is heating up even more.
It's been a great show so far from these guys, and you can see just how close that they have gotten. You see Figliola just kind of hanging out, lurking in the background, but going for the move on the inside is Hawkson. He wants that lead right back that he earned in qualifying. And he's there at the door. Oh, what a move there. He had all the momentum on that shorter line and able to keep things going. He's still at his quarter panel, though, not able to get clear. Can he get him through 3 and 4?
I think Jake will be able to roll it a little bit better here. Dylan might have used too much rubber on his tires there to start the race. Track's a little greener at the start of a race than it is later in the race, so give the lead to Jake Hawkson right there on a nice move. And that's kind of where the dynamic track of iRacing is just a little off yet from what real life has at this point in a run. Guys will be starting to flirt up toward the wall. Even with this cut package and the giant spoiler that they have on the rear, still the bottom reigns dominant here on iRacing. You see it right there with Jake making the move on Dylan.
Yeah, and further back in the pack, the 4 car, that is Thomas Rutherford. He is well off the pace, about half a second a lap behind anybody else. He is 7 seconds back of the car in front of Josh Coppernell.
A little bit of contact mid-pack, just caught it over here on my end of the speedway. Chad, the 6 of, I believe that was Braden Proudfoot making his Galaxy Cup Series debut. 1 of 3 making their debuts tonight. 79 Aridi, the 6 of Proudfoot, and of course the 40 who's off to a bad start putting through there, Dane Cruz. But looks like Proudfoot gathered it back up. I mean, right in front of him, he's got a huge battle going on between the 15 and the 3.
Yeah, these guys are getting very racy now that the tires are up, the temperature. They've gotten a feel for how the track is handling. I have to give a little bit of prop. Maybe, the wall there catching the 15 out just a little bit. That was Roel. I was going to say that 95 car, I'm looking at Nolan Hawkson, sorry. Just a great Miami Vice style livery there. Paint job, sorry. I'm used to calling open wheel races and GT cars, but that paint job, that Miami Vice paint job there with the Blue Bunny sponsorship on the back bumper. But that piston broke racing machine of the 95, looking great this week.
What a power move right there from Brian Mabry, just to drive by Nolan right there. I do love the paint job, though. That is great for being down here in Florida still yet this week. Excited to see what Nolan can do later on in the race. We're just approaching 4 p.m. in the sim, so I don't know if we should see a sunset, Chad. I just don't know how much of it we're going to see, but I expect that sun to fully affect these drivers getting into turn 1 as the night progresses.
Yeah, track temperature since the session has started, it's dropped about 3 degrees. Oh, very loose there on exit was the 95 of Hawkson, and thankfully able to keep it out of the wall. He is pointing in the right direction, just working his way up the field, even though Roel got his way around him.
Still going to battle up here for 3rd. So Brandon Figliola has gotten by Dylan Kreitz for 2nd. Dylan Kreitz falling into the clutches of Ty Ippolito now. We see it there on our screen across the start-finish line. Ty has really closed him down these last couple laps. He's not quite the fastest driver on track right now. I still say that goes to Figliola right now, but Ty has closed him in and is looking to make Dynamic Autosport be able to go 1, 2, 3 right here at the top of the field.
Ty Ippolito, the Daytona 500 winner here in the Galaxy Cup Series 2 weeks ago. Last week, unfortunately, he was one of those drivers plagued by connection issues, so unfortunately did not get the result he wanted, even though he was running out in front. I'm waiting to see if it brings out a caution. That is the 61 of Gaiman. Have to see if we can't go back and take a look at what happened there, because he's going to look like he's reversing it down the pit entry lane. Let's go back to last time he crossed the line. Let's see if
it happens over here off of turn 2. Chad, I'm not sure if Brian pitched him sideways or what happened here off turn 2, but
yeah, they got caught out 3 wide, and there was contact all around. 3 cars involved in that, and lucky that it didn't catch out even more with the huge pack of cars behind them.
I'm just like you. I'm surprised they didn't throw a yellow for that, even if he was sideways off the track. I thought it was going to affect most of those guys that they might have thought about it. But yeah, it looks like Brian just kind of turned Dylan. I'm not sure if he thought Josh was coming down from his outside or what, but that is not a position you want to put yourself in. Dylan and Brian are able to carry on with relatively clean cars, a lot better off than they could have been through that. But Josh, unfortunately, not looking too good. A little worse for wear right there.
Yeah,
he's now on the fringes of going a lap down.
Looking there at the 96 of Schmidt, he was the car that got turned sideways, and it doesn't appear to be too much damage to that race car. If anything, it's going to be here on the right side. Maybe the door bent in just a little bit, but overall that car looks pretty clean for what just happened to him.
That's one of the things that unnerves you as a driver, right? Like, you get turned all on your own. You're minding your own business down the backstretch, and you get hit from behind. It just kind of it throws you out of your rhythm. So going down into the next set of corners, especially on that lap and even in subsequent laps, you don't know what the damage is going to do to the car. So as a driver, it just throws you off, and it takes you a couple laps to find that rhythm again.
Yeah, Figliola losing a bit of time to Jake Hickson. He was under a second at the for his interval to Hickson, but right now that gap is, he's kind of back down under a second. It's going to be interesting to see if he can run him down, because he was in a tight battle with Ippolito, but he is pulled away there from the 19, currently running in third position.
Tell you what, one to watch is making his way up through the field. P12 is the 23 of Dallas Pataska. Same team as your top three right now, but Dallas started deep in the field, 27th. He's up 15 spots since the start, and he's just knocking on the door, being able to get some stage points right here. He's got David Duke and Dakota Knoll ahead of him right now that he's working on chasing down. So again, interesting to see what he's going to do throughout the stage here. The pit window should open up here before too long, Chad, and I imagine it's going to get real busy and these guys might try to split it right here at the middle of lap 40.
Yeah, talking about guys that are working their way up through the field, Dallas Pataska doesn't need to charge too hard. He's the winner of last week's race at the Daytona Road Course, and he put on quite a battle in that one. What a great show between him and Jake Hickson. The two of those two battled almost the entire race out front and able to fight through everything, and winner by just over 2 seconds. There was Pataska over Hickson, so he's got his ticket to the playoffs already punched.
Yeah, we had quite a bit of talking and scouting during the preseason across Galaxy, both in the Cup and the Truck Series. We said these dynamic Autosport guys are going to be ones to watch. And you're looking at another one that's a one to watch is Radius Racing right there with the 25 of Terry Cooper Jr. He's one of the new additions to the Galaxy this year. This is his rookie year, but he's making the most of it so far. Currently running, I believe that's in the top 5. No, he's just outside the top 5. Chasing Robert Anderson ahead of him for 5th. Yeah, Terry running 6th right there.
He's been working right over Anderson's back bumper, and just as I say that, he gets right on by him. He's been working Anderson hard the last couple of laps, and finally he's able to get by. I think there's a lot of give and take so far, just because we're so early, only 30 laps into this race.
Listening to the radio right there, looks like Terry got a break from Robert. Robert let him by. Robert's thinking big picture here for the race. Only lap 30 currently. Still got a long way to go for these drivers. And like I said, pit stops should be happening here before too long. And it'll be interesting to see what the strategies of these guys break out. Not too many out here, Chad, that have spotters. I actually don't think anyone's spotting for this race in particular. But these guys have to do it all. They have to rely on the in-sim spotter, as well as doing the math themselves for their strategy.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch, especially as these tires wear down. And maybe talk about that. You've driven this track quite a bit here in the stock cars. How do the tires break down, and how does that impact these cars as the run goes on?
It's not a fun time. I listened in on the drivers' meeting earlier before we started the broadcast, and they talked about how there's just a severe lack of grip at Homestead. And that's pretty true for the track, because this is Miami, this is Florida. Like, the sun beats down on this thing so much. But just especially with the Cup car and how much cornering speed you can keep in it, it just chews away at those right side tires. And I feel like depending on the way you build your car and build the setup in the car, how these teams build their setups, you're going to have different styles. You're going to have guys that'll push because they wear too much of the right front, guys that slide because they wear too much of the right rear. So interesting to see here a couple different guys potentially on some different sets and how they manage themselves. It's definitely, I mean, we saw Jake Hickson, how it paid off for him right now as the leader, because he saved a lot of his right side tire compared to the 36 Dylan Kreitz. And here's Jake, who's now some 5 seconds ahead of Dylan after 30 laps. So, but I think you're getting ready to point out that 7 car starting to close Jake back in just ever so slightly.
Yeah, that 7 car gap is down to about, half a second to 3/4 of a second, but slowly but surely keeping it down. One other thing to know, we were talking about Kreitz. You mentioned he's 5 seconds behind, but he is under a lot of pressure now from Terry Cooper Jr. And there you see right behind the 36, there is the 25. That 4 is a lap down. That is Thomas Rutherford. And already lapping some traffic with Schmidt, Cody Luke, Joshua Gavin, and Thomas Rutherford all being scored a lap down.
As far as I can tell, no one's decided to hit pit road yet on timing and scoring, just watching these guys. And you see Terry just absolutely stalking Dylan right now. I think it's just a product of Dylan wearing his stuff too early, Chad. It'll be interesting to see how it progresses for Dylan throughout the race. If he learns something here in the first stage to what potentially may happen later in the race for him. Good thing is these races are broken up in such a way that you can learn a lot in the beginning. And while we do have track change, especially with the sun starting to go down, you still learn a lot and keep that in the memory bank as a driver for something to use later in the race.
And you just saw Terry Cooper Jr. trying to get to the inside of the 36 of Dylan Kreitz, and there was almost contact between the two of them. 36 kind of came down just enough, and Cooper, when he lifted, the back end stepped out just enough. He lost all of his momentum, and now he's feeling the pressure from Anderson behind.
First drivers taking the pit road, the 64, Vander T. Jones, and Sean O'Brien Jr. in the 65 just took the pit road. He was running, I think, 12th or 13th right there when he decided to make this stop. So he's going to be the first one toward the front that's making a stop. I imagine we'll see 4 tires right here and some fuel. It's breaking the stage up pretty much in half for these guys. So pretty straightforward on strategy, but lets them get a chance to get working on the car. If you're loose, get it tighter. If you're tight, get it looser. The whole 9 yards, find that extra grip, and see what some guys do with some fresher tires compared to the guys out here on old tires still.
Yeah, Dakota Knoll down pit road as well. We did take a look at your leader, Jake Hickson, going around to put those guys 1 lap down. I wouldn't expect guys to lose too much more than that, maybe a lap and a half, but overall, I think 4 tires and a full tank of fuel, and these guys will be off and on their way.
Pataska has cracked the top 10 now, after starting 27th. And then technically right now your highest averaging finished driver in Galaxy Cup Series for the year is Cameron Caldwell in the 12. He's averaging a 6th place finish, and he's gotten himself up to 8th right now. So he's one to watch as we see them 3 wide right there. Jason Taylor going around the outside of Pataska. He's actually on fresh tires, so he's a lap down to these guys. And while the 12, the 23, and the 79 there are all fighting for this 8th position currently.
It's definitely fun to watch when these guys get very racy like that. 3 wide through 1 and 2, and we're only 40 laps into this thing. As the race winds on, these guys are going to get more and more desperate, more aggressive with their moves. But so far, only 1 incident for the race, but other than that, we've still been caution-free.
So listening to the radios right here, expect the 78 and the 12 to be coming down pit road this time. They just mentioned it over here on driver's radio. A lot of guys deciding to do it right here at the halfway point in the stage. 40 laps to go in the stage, ending on lap 80, and there's Duke, there's Caldwell in. And a lot of guys behind him, they're going to drag a lot to pit road.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to watch because pit road is very dangerous to get to here. Just because of the way that where it is off the corner, how you have to transition off the banking and getting down to speed in time. You want to not lose, or you want to lose as little time as possible And if you make the slightest mistake, whether it's a speeding on pit road penalty, or you end up hitting the pit wall or something like that, any mistake here on pit road could cost you very, very much here in the Galaxy Cup.
Chad, I've even seen it on the pro levels in iRacing on the oval side that people have hit the barrels before entering pit road at Homestead. It's just one of the hardest pit roads to get on because such a lack of grip in the tires, as we mentioned earlier, and being so hot with the tires at this point, 40 laps into your stint. I mean, you have such little grip to try to get down there.
You're the leader down pit road.
We saw the famous 2004 incident where Kurt Busch lost a tire and barely missed the barrel. So definitely a tough pit road to get on. We'll see what Jake does here, and if he can get it on and off cleanly, he releases his teammate Brandon Figliola to the lead.
Yeah, Figliola, put on a great season so far. He's been running great and going to get the bonus point for leading a lap as well. Strategy really going to come into play here. Only 6 or 7 cars were left on the lead lap by the time that he came down pit road, so we're going to see where he shuffles out in all of this, because your current leader in the 7 just went by to put him a lap down.
First one that I can see on tires right now is actually Jason Taylor in the 37. He was one of the ones that we mentioned just earlier that we saw pass, what was it, Dallas Pataska and Cameron Caldwell in the 12, the 23. And Jason, by pitting early, has jumped even your effective leader in Jake Hickson. So I don't know if the strategy will pay off because there's about a 10-lap difference between the tires, but that might play out well for Jason as we see Brandon pit here.
Only 4 cars have yet to make that 3 as Figliola makes his way down pit road. The other 3 are Probst, Franks, and Coppernell. And for them, they were running further back in the pack, maybe just a little bit of strategy, trying to stay out as long as they can and maybe pray for those guys that a caution were to come out. Unfortunately, it does not. There you see 4 tires and fuel. First guy that has pit, you mentioned him right there, that's Jason Taylor, working his way around through turns 3 and 4. Down the front stretch as he gets ready to inherit the lead when these next couple of cars come into pit.
And he's only got about a second and a half in the bank over Jake Hickson. Like I said, 10-lap difference on the tires, Chad. I don't expect him to be able to hang on to it, but this could be a good strategy play to get him some track position here for the stage finish.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch for sure. The first stage break is at lap 80, and thankfully, we're back to an oval. Last week with the way that the stage breaks kind of timed themselves out, it was a scramble trying to get things organized back on such a long oval track like Daytona, or sorry, such a long road course like Daytona, where the caution comes out for the pace car at just the wrong time. The leaders had to make almost an entire lap just to catch back up to it. So definitely going to be fun to watch. Still, Probst, Franks, and Coppernell still have not come into pit.
So your effective lead just right there. We saw it in our picture. Jake Hickson back ahead of Jason Taylor. So that's your effective lead. But like you said, Zach Probst is running along here. And, having the privilege to race in Galaxy last year, Chad, Probst was always one of those contrarians. He always kind of did things a little different, his strategy, things like that. And very well, this could pay off for him. If he catches a yellow right now, I mean, it's a great payoff for him. These guys, I don't expect them to really use too many of their extra sets of tires. I think they have 12 or 10 for this race. So definitely using them at the stage breaks and then 1 in each of the stages at least. So they got extra sets to burn if they catch a yellow at the right time. But Zach's trying to be the lucky guy. See if he can catch a yellow here before he has to pit.
By the way, Jake Hickson, he's run 6 laps on his tires. Last lap was a 32.091. Jason Taylor, who was your leader through the pit cycles at least until the last lap, he's got 15 laps on his tires. His last lap, 32.981, so almost a full second. And that might be somewhat setup based, but at the same time, tires really coming in as the 42 of Josh Coppernell works his way down pit road. Well, maybe not. I thought that he did, but no, he stayed out. I saw him lose 5 positions there, but he's back out on track, so losing 5 spots, and that's going to kill a ton of time and a ton of momentum for the 42.
He either missed pit road according to radio communication right there, or he was not in a position to get himself down on pit road. And that's one of the tough things, especially on old tires, is your car doesn't want to run the absolute bottom. And you got guys on fresh tires that are trying to utilize and limit as much time loss as possible. So they're going to be running the best racing line, which in the sim here at Homestead is going to be on the bottom, actually kind of right on that first seam in the corners, as we see Probst finally make his pit stop too. Kevin Franks is the only one left out here on track right there off turn 4. But Josh just must not have felt comfortable in the position he was in, or he just missed pit road, thought better of it. Instead of taking the penalty, just take the less time loss by going an extra lap. And it works out for him. He'll be able to recover here at the stage break.
I'd expect to see Franks in this time. He just got his bonus point for leading a lap. So you'd expect him probably not to take too much more time, as you see him getting passed by cars left and right that have already come into pit. And wow, he stays out once again.
So he definitely is trying to catch a caution right here. And even though Jake's going by him at this point to take the lead, if he catches the caution right now, I mean, look at that. He's a net gain of a lot of spots. He started 33rd, which was almost shotgun on the field. So to be sitting second right now, potentially have the chance to flip his track position would be a great break. I just don't foresee him catching a caution right here. A lot of these guys are spread out single file right now.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun watching these guys run, and the laps are just ticking by. Already 53 in, and guys are already working 20 laps on their new Goodyear tires. Franks, you see him losing 1, losing 2 positions, getting passed now down to 4th by Ty. I believe he has to come in soon. He's losing way too much time just staying out there on the racetrack.
I mean, what time he does lose, he's going to gain back by having that much fresher tires at the end of the break. If he was kind of teetering on potentially being a lap down by the end of the stage, this gives him a better fighting chance, having the fresher rubber to attack the leader and gain a lap back. I'm with you there, though, that I don't know if the return on investment is going to be there if he's just giving up too much time here on the front end to not gain enough back on the back end, with only just inside of 30 laps remaining in the stage, coming to 26 to go in stage 1.
He was 2 whole seconds off the pace last lap to everybody around him. You see now the 40 car as well getting around, and even that 40 car of Cruz, I mean, he is 5 laps down based on some earlier issues that he had. With no damage to that car either. I have to check how many laps. He's got 5 laps on his tires. You can just see him flying around this racetrack.
Yeah, he unfortunately was plagued with connection issues there at the start of the race. He was able to reconnect, but he's going to need a lot of help to get back toward the lead lap. And there's I think 6-7 drivers now 1 lap down. Your lucky dog is currently Dylan Schmidt in the 96, who we saw involved in that incident that did not bring a yellow out there around lap 30. So meanwhile, we look at Terry Cooper Jr. right here running 5th. He was able to jump up to that 5th spot now, got himself solidly in the top 5. The 2 guys behind him of the 98 of Franks and the 37 of Jason Taylor, their tires are older. We've documented Franks, but we also documented that Jason's 10 laps older than pretty much the rest of the field. So honestly, Terry Cooper's next threat will be the 23 of Dallas Pataska, who's back in 8th right now, some 3 4 seconds behind him right now, as we see the 37 machine make a pass on his teammate. That's not for position. Dylan there in the neon green 96 is currently your lucky dog.
And listen to those tires squeal throughout the corner. You talk about tire wear in these things, and that's where it comes from. They're driving them so hard that the car just wants to step out the entire way through the corner, especially when they try to pick up the throttle once again. You hear him kind of feathering it when he goes to pick it back up. And I mean, you just got to power through it sometimes, but that's where the tire wear comes from as we work our way through lap number 58 of 80 here in stage number 1.
I love that onboard gyro shot. This gives you an idea of sense of speed and how the banking kind of throws the drivers around, but it's not something that happens with us sim racing because most guys, as far as I'm aware, all the guys in the Galaxy Cup Series don't have any sort of motion rig. There are a couple guys out here that run in VR, which I admire them because I don't know that I could put those VR goggles on for 3+ hours in a full distance Cup Series race. But nonetheless, immersion is one of those things that you don't totally get, but it's a great thing to have. And so while we don't get to feel something like that gyro cam in the car, you still get that great sense of speed, just how tight you have to race some of these guys as we watch them fly off into turn 3 and through 4 now.
Yeah, you can definitely feel the heat building up in those VR goggles even over the course of 20 minutes or a 30-minute stint. I mean, you can definitely feel it. And that's one of the reasons I don't run the VR. I do have an ultra-wide monitor, and that definitely helps things out. But overall, some of these guys just want every competitive advantage, whether it's running a motion rig, whether they have a butt kicker running or something like that. There's so many tools and so much utilization that these guys can use, from software like JRT or Crew Chief, stuff like that, to even the hardware elements, upgrading your computer, having different monitors, different chairs, a full rig to their system. It's definitely interesting the level of commitment and the financial investment you can put in if you have the desire to do so.
Yeah, that's the great thing about sim racing, isn't it? Like, you can get yourself a computer for just a couple $100, get a wheel and pedal set that's pretty basic, and you can go iRace. Or you can put a lot of money into these rigs like some guys do and get the real immersion in it, right? And you raised a good point there with software-wise, how I mentioned earlier, how these guys have to be their own crew chiefs. They do have tools out there that can help them with that. Things like you mentioned, JRT, crew chief, sim racing apps, things like that, that help these guys be able to do like fuel calculations and hotkeys to be able to dial adjustments in so they don't have to fiddle around with the mouse while driving. It's all these tools out there available, and that's the great thing about sim racing is we can get as close as we can to the real life thing and still have be able to compensate for not having a full team of guys around us, right? We can do it basically all on our own from the cockpit.
Yeah, I started out with a $100 wheel I got off of Facebook Marketplace and a single monitor computer, and from there I realized, okay, I kind of like this. I get into this, and I upgraded to an ultra wide. And then I said, okay, I like this even more, and I upgraded my wheel. And just as time goes on, you realize how much of a money sink it really can be. But one guy that's really showing his stuff out there, making his Galaxy Cup debut, that's Austin Reed we're looking at there in the 79, working his way into the top 10 right behind David Duke.
A lot of these guys up here are going to be fighting for stage points. I don't really see any drivers up here that are not taking points in the Cup Series. None of the Truck Series regulars that I can see are up here. So, yeah, Reedy making a move there on Dylan Schmidt. Dylan's a lap down right now. But Reedy currently running 11th. He's got about a second to make up to get to the top 10 and get a stage point. Got Cameron Caldwell just up the road.
Yeah, I know that we have 3 drivers making their Galaxy Cup debut. We talked about Cruz and his connection issues in his Galaxy Cup debut, and then Austin Reedy, and I'm trying to remember for the life of me, who is the third? I know that you have that note off the top of your head. Who is the third?
We mentioned him a little earlier, the 6 of Braden Proudfoot. We saw him kind of almost involved in an incident earlier, but they managed to gather it back up. Proudfoot running right now in the 18th position. It's a solid but quiet debut, and sometimes that's the kind of splash you want to make, is just no splash at all, right? You don't want to be a name known right off the bat unless you go out and win or something along those lines. So a quiet night so far for Braden Proudfoot. Let's see if he can rebound and get some track position here at the end of stage 1 to work on his stage 2 finish. But and of course, heartbreak for Dane Cruz with the connection issues so early. But as you mentioned, Austin Reedy is the best of the brand new guys to Galaxy. Meanwhile, technically we got rookies up front in the top 5, 6, top 5. This guy was technically running with the Galaxy Cup Series last year.
And one thing I have to note, I love these fistful of bourbon cars. I've seen them running in the North American Simulated Auto Racing Rallycross Challenge on Wednesday nights that I do commentary for. I've seen them running GT cars, sponsoring those things. And I mean, just such beautiful paint jobs on all of the cars that the Fistful of Bourbon guys put together. Just such a great job, and we see great paints all throughout this field.
Absolutely. You saw a little spark there entering turn 3. A lot of guys try to maximize their entry out there near the wall, and sometimes you can overstep that bound pretty easily, even at a place like Homestead, just because you need to arc that entry in, with the bottom being such a competitive line that you sometimes just need every inch of the track you can get to get yourself down to the bottom and then up off the corner. See Ty trying to make a move on Josh Gaiman. Josh, unfortunately, involved in that incident on the backstretch. A lot of damage to his car, as we can see there, especially on the rear and also that right front. And unfortunately, he's not going to be able to hold off Ty. So Ty gets himself clear. He can try to check out, go toward Jake Hickson. But interesting note here, Chad, looking at it, Jake has fallen away from Figliola here with approaching 10 laps to go in the stage 1.
Yeah, about 2 seconds the gap from first to second, then another 2 back from second to third. Definitely been interesting to watch this develop. All 3 of these guys did pit on very similar laps. Figliola, he's run 26 laps on his current stint, then 28 both for Hickson and Ippolito. So fun to watch these guys drive things out. It's going to be interesting to watch some of these guys, though. A couple of them that have been out there just a little bit longer. You know, Andrew T. Jones has run 35 laps, so he's about 8 or so laps longer than everybody else. Some of these guys, you might expect them to dive down pit road the next 5 to 7 laps, try to catch it just before they close before the stage break, and try to advance their track position that way based on strategy.
There's a battle going on for the last stage point here. Austin Reedy, we talked about him just a few moments ago, has tracked down Cameron Caldwell in the 12. They got a lapper, the 4 of Thomas Rutherford, kind of in the mix here. Thomas, I think, is on some fresher tires right now, trying to get by these guys. But this is your battle for the last stage point right now, with just inside, or actually at 10 to go in the stage right there at the line. See if Austin Reedy can work on Cameron Caldwell enough to be able to steal that last stage point from him. He's gonna make a move here into turn 3.
By the way, one thing to note as we watch this side-by-side battle, we still have a car that is pitted, or has not pitted, in over 70 laps, and that is Cody Luke here in the 8 car. He is 2 laps down, but he's run 70 laps on his current set of tires, and he is just churning them out. And he's not too terribly far off the pace, only about a second or so off of what the guys around him are running.
That might be a telemetry glitch for you, Chad. I got him pegged pitting 28 laps ago. So
well, hey, you can forget everything I just said then.
He has made a stop. Unfortunately, it has not made the car any better for him, and he's still ripping the wall, which is an interesting note there. If all else, at least he's rubbering the top in for some of these guys for later in the race. But you see Austin Reedy falling away there from Cameron Caldwell a little bit, and see if he can gather himself back up. He's got a little bit of time to try to size up this move for 10th, but the laps are starting to click away, Chad.
Yeah, and by the way, you talk about the track rubbering in. As the race goes on, you'll see this groove that they are running on, looking at Austin Reedy right now. You can see it, just kind of how the track starts to darken. They're about a lane off of the bottom where all these cars are running. And as they start to develop that second lane, how will that impact things, especially for the side-by-side racing?
So it's one of the interesting phenomena on iRacing is that being in the grip that gets put down on the track, that black rubber strip, it actually kind of pays off. We see Cam Caldwell get real loose there off 2. Here comes Austin Reedy to his inside. It's one of those that you can definitely get yourself or feel a lot of grip on that strip, but at the same time, if you're not set up for
contact! Wow, way to keep things rolling there for Reedy. He thought he had the move done. Unfortunately, there's contact between him and Caldwell, and great save as he's going to get passed by at least 1, if not 2 cars here.
Not sure if we'll be able to catch a replay on that, having some technical issues there, but looked like Cameron Caldwell just got loose right there, and Reedy trying to drive it up off the corner just kind of drove into Caldwell. Caldwell was kind of coming down the track. Reedy was coming up on exit, and they just kind of met in the middle. So Reedy, what a save, though. What a wheelman to save that thing. He only lost 2 spots in that, but it was a lot better than having the car stuck in the inside barrels, which was the way he was tracking there originally off turn 4.
Yeah, what a fantastic save. We talked about those barrels and how they can catch you out, but we've only talked about how they can catch you out if you have an issue coming to pit road. Not trying to come to pit road, that wall is right there. A lot of tracks will have plenty of runoff for you to get there and kind of avoid them either to the inside or outside of that wall. But here, it feels like it's right there on the exit of turn number 4.
So looking at it here in the sim, he's got a little bit of right front damage from that. That's definitely not going to help his aero situation. Something like that's going to make him tighter and push, especially on exit, which is not something you want to have at Homestead. Meanwhile, looking at the 12 further up the road, just looks like a little bit of door damage for him. I don't know that that's enough that gives Sean O'Brien, as we're looking at him now, a chance to be able to track Cam Caldwell down. It looks like he's working on it a little bit here. Gaps down to 0.4 of a second with coming to 2 laps to go in the stage.
Yeah, and if you're one of those guys that are staying out trying to make a pit call, strategy call, you have to come down this lap because they will close next time the leader comes by the stripe.
I don't know that you're going to see that at all tonight, Chad, just because you lose so much time on pit road. These guys will end up a lap down, and if that's the case, your strategy of trying to hit before the stage break kind of goes out the window then. So only really going to see it at the bigger tracks. I'm sure we saw it last week at Daytona Road Course. Unfortunately, I wasn't around for it, but yeah, bigger tracks like that, we'll definitely see it at. I don't know that we'll see it at 1.5 miles here. 2 to go in the stage, and Sean O'Brien has caught Cam Caldwell. I'll eat my words there, and this will be an interesting battle to see here.
Yeah, and you can see that 12 car blinking just in front there for Caldwell, and as that happens, if you're the car behind, getting loose is the 12 as well. But as I was just going to say, as that happens, and another car slow well behind them.
The 11 of Chambers.
That was, we talk about how unnerving it might be for some of these guys. You're running just behind somebody, you want to make a move. But when they blink out like that, you don't know where they are to make that move. If they decide to protect the bottom, you go high, and they decide that they're going to slide up, to the high side instead, that can definitely throw off both your momentum and your concentration as you try to figure out what's going on around you.
Absolutely. It can be one of the most disorienting things on iRacing, especially if you're the person that blinks out, but just being around that guy because you get so worried about where he's going to come back in. Is he going to come back in even inside my vehicle and somehow spin me out with the netcode? And there's our stage break caution. Brandon Figliola picking himself up a stage win here in the 2021 Galaxy Cup Series. What a drive for that 7 car to hold off his teammate and build a 2.5 second lead. It's erased, but he's got himself 10 points richer and a playoff point. That's the all-important one, Chad.
Yeah, he did a great job earlier in this season. His teammate, of course, of Ippolito did win the Daytona 500 as well. So, these guys do have the speed. They do have the pace on setups that they've proven that they can win races. Of course, it's completely different here to 1.5 miles versus, say, a plate track like Daytona. But overall, just kind of watching these guys work things out, that bonus point come playoff time could be huge for these DAS racer cars.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to Jason Taylor. Remember that strategy of pitting early like he did? That paid off. He finished 8th in that stage and got himself a couple stage points right there. Picked up 3 stage points for the year, which definitely helps him in the points battle if he doesn't end up picking a race win up throughout the season. Pit road is open. All these guys are coming down.
I wouldn't expect any of these guys on the lead lap to miss out on pit road. They all come in nice and clean. Is anybody going to stay out that's on the lead lap? No. And there you see 4 tires for the 7. I would expect just about everybody at this point to take 4 tires in fuel. I wouldn't expect much from a 2-tire stop.
Yeah, no, I fully expect it to be 4 tires and fuel for these guys. Get some adjustments to help the car, make sure it can stay gripped up to the track the whole way through this next stage here. Get them through the next stint to the next 40-lap break. So, don't know, Chad, if we can try to dial up. You want to see if we can dial up our stage winner?
That's not, we try to get discussion, approval from the drivers before doing that at this, before the race starts. Unfortunately, I don't have approval from Figlio to bring him in, But one guy that we can talk to is somebody that's very familiar with the booth up here, and that is Josh Coppernell. Let's see if we can't find him and get him in here for an interview. Actually, I was about to say we can do that, but I don't see him available to bring in.
You don't see him because I have him dialed up.
Oh, there he is. Hey, welcome to the booth, Josh. Great first stage for you. Not on the lead lap, unfortunately, but you are looking good out there.
Yeah, just that first stint, I tried my best to figure out the car. I burnt the tires up really bad. The right front was absolutely horrible. So we learned a lot on that second stint. Hopefully it did a lot better on the tires that time around. We're just kind of learning very early, taking it easy, and really want to get this Let's Go Racing with David Starr Chevy Camaro in a good spot for the end.
And talk about just kind of the way that things have worked out for you. It's unfortunate, but that entire first stage did go green. Talk about the competition, how hard the racing is for you guys out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of very talented guys out here that are way more talented than I am. So, you know, it's really hard to gain positions no matter where you're at. I stayed out a lot longer than the other guys did. So come to the end of that run, I had fresher tires. So I was passing a lot of guys, was able to get up to, I think, maybe 27th for the stage. But, yeah, just a lot of talented guys out here. The rest of this race is definitely going to be tough.
It looks like we're coming to 1 to green, so we will let you go as the pace car lights come off. Thanks for joining us here in the booth, Josh.
Yeah, no problem.
It's awesome to be able to get a chance to check in with those guys as they go throughout the night. Have to check in on the rest of these guys, Chad, but great that Josh was able to join us for that, and hopefully we'll be able to chat with him there in potentially the stage 2 break as well, see how the race progresses.
Yeah, we really appreciate these drivers. You know, it's so much focus during the races, but, you know, being able to kind of join us here in the booth and the willingness of some of these guys, you know, we had like 3 or 4 volunteers, I remember, to be our in-race reporters during the stage breaks, during cautions at Daytona for the oval at least. You know, just some of the, you know, that break in concentration could definitely impact things. As look at as much at many of these teammates, the Dynamic Autosport guys up at the front of this field. You got 1, 2, 3. You got some Radius Racing guys in there as well, but the top 5 dominated by those black and red machines.
And now we got them racked up, ready to go. Stage 2 coming to the green, pace car off. Ty Ippolito gonna get us back to the green flag right here. He gets a huge jump on his teammate Jake Hickson.
Second straight time we've seen a great jump on the starts from our leader. And it's going to be the 19, and then this time Hickson in the 32 does get off cleanly as well. 36 of Kreitz jumping to the outside. Is he able to do anything there? No, but the 32 is making a move with a great run.
Fresh tires. These guys are going to feel like champions. Here comes the 36 of Dylan Kreitz again. He was the fastest on fresh tires we saw in stage 1.
32
that
washed
short run
up.
Car is definitely back. And yeah, Jake Hickson washes up. Here goes Dylan Kreitz.
Wow, what a shuffle. We had 2 lead changes there in that 1 lap off the restart. The 19 got loose on exit of 2. 32 took advantage of that, and then going into 3, he washed up just enough to give all the advantage to Dylan Kreitz there in the 36 you see out front now.
So Kreitz from Hickson, Ippolito to 3rd. Dallas Pataska has worked his way up to 4th. Something that we saw on our picture but didn't get to talk about, Chad, was the fact that Brandon Figliola pitted after he had already pitted the first time around, but he pitted again under that yellow. So that mires him back in the field now. He's currently 19th and looking to work his way forward. Definitely not the strategy I thought he would have wanted to take here, but nonetheless, his teammates are still hanging around up front. Yeah, see how Jake goes this stage compared to Dylan, compared to their stage 1 battle.
Maybe he had a loose lug nut or something after his first pit stop. There came in for another 8-second splash of fuel his second time out. Or maybe, I'm not entirely sure, maybe he took two, thinking everybody else around him would. But yeah, just overall, watching these guys run things out, already a half a second lead out front here for Kreitz over Hickson. But Hickson, he's feeling the pressure back behind from Ippolito.
These stage breaks allow us to have restarts, and restarts are always chaotic, right? So we see Hickson working away from Ippolito. Meanwhile, back in the pack here, a lot of side-by-side going on. Toward the back, they're starting to figure that out. We saw Austin Reedy in the 79, who just got shy of scoring his first stage points in Galaxy competition thanks to a little contact with Cameron Caldwell. Has worked his way back up. The battle for 15th going on between he and Zach Probst, as well as 78 of David Duke.
This is just behind these leaders, 25. Terry Cooper Jr. right there with Robert Anderson, and that Radius Racing Machine dropping like a rock after the restart. Lost a couple of positions, and he's now back in 5th, feeling the pressure from Robert Anderson.
And not sure if anything is really going on with that 25, just like we mentioned earlier, just how these guys drive it a little bit different. I mean, we see Jake Hickson's falling away from Dylan Kreitz. Some guys have some short run cars, and some guys have some long run cars. It kind of depends on how you build the setup. We got some connection issues being reported with the 64 of Andrew T. Jones up here in the top 10.
That's that teal car you see in your shot right now. He was blinking really bad his last time through 3 and 4. Hopefully that settles itself out as well for him.
So Anderson, one that didn't score a stage point in stage 1. We saw him up there early, and he fell away. And I'm surprised that he fell out of scoring a stage point there in stage 1. Or no, I'm sorry, he did score stage points. He was 7th across the line, so he did score some stage points. He's currently running 6th, and looking to capitalize on potentially chasing down that 25 if he can. Solid night for him so far.
Yeah, it's been a solid night for a lot of these guys. Have either held their own up at the front of the field, or even just grinded their way up from some lesser than ideal qualifying runs. Further back in the field, we do have some interesting battles as well. This is one that we should take a look at. The 78 of David Duke, just trying his best to hold off Probst, and then you see right behind them is Reedy and Figliola. Figliola charging hard from that unexpected pit stop.
It was 3 laps ago when I mentioned that. He was 19th. He's worked his way up that's P14 right there that he just took from Austin Reedy, and he's looking for 13th there off of Zach Probst. So your stage 1 winner, mired back in the pack a little bit, looking to make a charge up through the field here for stage 2.
His head is down, his eyes are forward, and he is just focused out that windshield. He's gotten clear of the 62. Next up, he's got David Duke right there in his sights. See if he can get a move done here in the next couple of laps.
And this is one of those things as a driver, especially if you had such a great car to win stage 1. You're worried being back here in the pack because you don't want to ruin your chance at it, but at the same time, you got to fight your way through as fast as you can because you want to try to give yourself the best chance in stage 2, right? So as he makes the move on David Duke right here, he's taking the preferred line away from him. Duke's going to try to pinch him a little bit. Not going to happen, though, and Figliola gets himself clear for 12th. He's going to set his sights on getting back into the top 10 to go score more stage points.
Yeah, he definitely has the pace to do it, putting up some absolute flyers. Last lap was a 32.4. The guys up at the top 10, a lot of them are running 32.8s or so, and just a great run here from the 7 of Figliola working his way up through the field. That's one thing you should know. This is our first time here at a 1.5 mile track, and last couple of races we had a road course and a super speedway as well. There's some big strategy differences between them. Of course, you mentioned the pit strategy before the pits close for a stage break. That's only one of them. Something else to think about is, do you drop back at the start of a run at, say, Daytona to try to avoid the big one? But here, you can't really do that because laps are so quick. You can lose a lap before you even think about avoiding a lap or a wreck in the first place.
Yeah, it's one of those tough decisions to make because there's no real place to ride, right? You got to attack the track as a driver, no matter where you go, but especially on a 1.5 miles, because track position is so important. get mired back in the dirty air, it just makes your life a lot harder as a driver to try to work your way through it then. Got a big battle going on here with Figliola still charging his way through. He's working on the 6. A Proudfoot who's, as we mentioned, making his debut, his first race with us here in the Galaxy Cup Series.
This is Figliola working his way into the top 10. Wow.
Hey, making some great moves right there. And that's what you want as a driver, right? That fast car, you proved it in stage 1. It's absolutely hooked up. So now some of these guys might cut you some brakes as you're coming back through the field. But still always worried, especially as he approaches Andrew T. Jones, who looks like he's still having those connection issues. And that's just has you on edge even more.
Yeah, you just kind of have to be smart around these cars that are having connection issues. You know that they are great racers, and they try to be very predictable with their moves. But still, overall, it's going to be interesting to watch. He's already side by side, just slicing his way up through the field. He was, what did you say, 17th when he restarted, now all the way up to 9th? Where is this pace coming from? Does he have nitrous in that car? Can somebody check the roll cage, see if there's not something put in there?
I see you've listened to the Dale Jr. Download podcast before and DW's story on that. What a great story that was. But yeah, Figliola is just making quick work getting up through the field. It's pretty crazy. But I mean, at that same token, Chad, is his Dynamic Autosport teammates. I mean, Jake has retaken the lead from Dylan Kreitz. We missed it on our picture, but Jake back to the point. Ty is following just basically in his tire tracks half a second back. So, and Dallas running 3rd. Those are all Dynamic Autosport guys. So Brandon, one of their teammates, and working his way back toward the front.
Yeah, it's a big stable of dynamic cars out here. Of course, that 7 is one of the many. It's definitely been fun to watch a lot of these guys run. That's the advantage of having a lot of cars. You get a lot more feedback. You can see the same thing in the actual NASCAR Cup Series. Say the Hendricks or the Gibbs cars, they got 4 cars, sometimes 5 or so with some of the alliances that they might have. All that extra data can be very helpful to these teams and what to tweak on a setup. Definitely could be very helpful as this run goes on here for Brandon Figliola all the way up to 9th, about to get 8th, I would expect, in the next lap or 2 here from Sean O'Brien Jr.
Yeah, you mentioned data, and that's one of the things that even in sim racing, we still have a chance to look at things like that. There are tools at our disposal, and that VRS has some great tools if you subscribe to them. Motec was a free software you could download if you knew how to work it, to be able to read things like heights and stuff like that. And that just helps with having so much data to be able to look at what works for the car, what doesn't work for the car. More guys out there, definitely just running more laps can get you more data. More data is always a great thing because it gives you the ideas of what to do to cars to make them faster. And every guy out here still has their own driving style. Some like it looser, some like it tighter. But just those extra laps turn to get those points can easily help. Was that a spin on the back or just a blink? I'm not sure what just happened right there. Saw smoke. It looks like they're all still carrying on pretty well.
Yeah, caution did not come out, and I don't see anybody slow on my track map, so I think that it must have just been a blink. Of course, that's one of the things that can be also very distracting as well when somebody is having connection issues like we were seeing just a little bit ago. When these cars do return to the racing surface, the tires do release just a puff of smoke, and unfortunately for a lot of these guys, that smoke will definitely indicate, hey, there's a wreck up in front of you, lift, and you have to just kind of train yourself to realize it's not enough smoke to be a wreck. Just keep your foot in it, and you should be A-okay to keep on rolling.
This stage is not going well for Dylan Kreitz. It's just like stage 1. We haven't had a yellow yet. Over up there in the 36 car, he has dropped like a stone. Took the lead shortly after the restart there, and he's just gone backward. Robert Anderson in the 18 getting by him right there for 5th. Dylan back to 6th. He's just kind of going backward at this point, which is not something you want to be doing on a long run. Going to be looking to see what he can do to dial in some long run speed into his car.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things. It's one of those things that's going to be fun to watch as this run breaks down, because he is not too far off the pace of everybody around him. I mean, his last lap was a 33.5 compared to a 33.4 of Anderson that just got by him. But yeah, as the run goes on, that 1/10 or so a lap, that adds up. And if you have one bad lap in the in the middle of that kind of, you slide it maybe too much and hurt your tires, or, you just lose all your momentum. That's going to cost you 1, 2, 3, 4, even more positions as the run breaks down.
Still mostly surprised that we're seeing a lot of guys around the bottom. I thought maybe a second groove would kind of work its way in, and I'm looking at it through the field. The only one I really see working up toward that high line, the 64 of Andrew Jones, but he's been having the connection issue, so I think he's doing it more so for that reason. And Cody Luke, but Cody's 2 laps down right now. So not too many guys working the top end yet. We're approaching 5 p.m. in the sim now. Don't know if we can get any onboard shots with some of these guys, but I think that sun is just about, I'd say 20, 30 minutes or so away from starting to affect them. Right on board here with, I think this is the 36 of Dylan Kreitz.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to watch. We'll take a look here from the visor cam of Kreitz, and coming off of turn number 3, this is where the sun is going to start to impact it just a little bit. You kind of see it glaring just the smallest amount. Thankfully, though, straight west is behind those grandstands, and I think that the sun is not going to be as bad here as it would be, say, at Indianapolis, for example. Of course, there's no lights there, but when that track gets going, you can go straight west into a corner, and that sun can be very blinding at tracks that are lined up with your cardinal directions. This one very off kilter. North-south is kind of crossed between turn 2 to turn 4. So yeah, just you can kind of see where the sun should be right there behind the grandstands. It's going to set right over that press box that we just went by there.
Something to watch as the night goes on. I like the little logos he's got there on the dash. It's always something good to keep you going. iRacing added that, I want to say, 2 builds ago, Chad, that they let us be able to do some fun stuff on the dashboard, be able to add our own little flavor to our in-car camera views that we can get here in iRacing.
Yeah, it's certainly fun. I've made a lot of paints, and that's one that I have a lot of fun tweaking and making look good. I did make what a move there from Figliola, by the way, just sending it up the inside of Kreitz. And that's one thing from these drivers where you have to rely on your spotter and maybe your mirrors. Of course, we don't have a wide enough shot here on the broadcast to take a look at those mirrors, but just the way that it pops out in a car out of nowhere, your spotter just tells you inside, and sometimes you have to realize, wait a minute, what did he just say? Is there actually a car there? And of course, out of nowhere comes Brandon Figliola up to the 6th spot.
Hey, he's continuing his charge. Right now, he's still clocking the fastest lap times on the track. He's some 4 seconds faster than his teammate in the lead. It's about 2 to 3 tenths, faster than the guys ahead of him right now. So he's going to work on tracking the 18 of Robert Anderson down. Meanwhile, Dylan Kreitz still kind of on the slide. He's starting next one back for him to fall in the clutches is his teammate Jason Taylor, who got that track position from stage 1. We'll see if anyone like Jason decides to employ that strategy here in stage 2. Lap 120 is going to be the halfway point in the stage, so we're approaching the 45 laps to go in the stage. Just about 5 away from that halfway point. I expect to see some guys starting to think about pit road at this point of the race.
Yeah, this is looking on board out the back of Jason Taylor, and I mean, what a great job he is on just kind of holding his own, minding his own business. Down to 21 cars on the lead lap. Last car there is Dakota Knoll. Still, though, 12 cars now as Cameron Caldwell works his way within 10 seconds of your leader. And Jake Hickson out front just running away with things, already 2 seconds over Ty Ippolito. As we get close to halfway here, we'll take a quick run through the field with Jake Hickson right now out in front and starting to pull away just a little bit. He's got a 2-second lead over Ty Ippolito, then Dallas Pataska in 3rd, Terry Cooper Jr. 4th, and Robert Anderson in 5th. Then we look back to the number 7 of Figliola running 6th and charging hard. followed by Dylan Kreitz, who's on that slide, then Jason Taylor and David Duke, and then Sean O'Brien Jr. wrapping up your top 10.
That's your top 10. Running 11th, Braden Proudfoot. He's starting to make his splash on his debut. He's actually gotten around the other debutee of Austin Reedy. Running 12th right now is Cameron Caldwell, 13th for Probst, 14th for Austin Reedy, 15th for Jason Chambers. Andrew T. Jones, after he had his connection issues, has fallen all the way back to 16th. That's not something that he wanted to see so far in Stage 2. 17th to William Boisvert from Canada, one of a few that I think are not from the States, but a part of the Galaxy Cup Series. Alex Princeton running 18th right now. Dave Fuse Jr. in 19th, and Nolan Hawkson running 20th. Dakota Knoll rounds out your cars on the lead lap, running 21st.
Yeah, and everybody from here on out is one lap down until we get pretty far down in the field, including the 84 of Alonso Chicano in 22nd. 23rd is Alan Roel. Then Kevin Franks and Andrew Russo in 25th. And Josh Coppernell, our in-race reporter, running 26th. Then Medeiros and Drumhiller, Philip Lloyd 29th, and 30th is Brian Mabry.
31st, 2 laps down, is Joshua Gaiman in the 61. We documented earlier in the race how he had his troubles on the backstretch that did not cause a caution. So looks like he got quite a bit of the damage fixed on that car, but it's still not going to ever drive the same for him. Meanwhile, behind him, 3 laps down now, is Cody Luke in the 8. Night to forget for him, and these guys further down the grid. 33rd for Thomas Rutherford, 34th for Dylan Schmidt. We saw him involved in one of the earlier incidents. Looks like he has finally parked his car as the laps click away from him. And our first retiree of the race was Dane Cruz in the 40, making his debut. Was looking good for the first about 10 laps or so until he had a connection problem and he fell out of the race. And he feels that he's not going to be able to get it back. So might as well save the car and park it. And look forward to next week toward Las Vegas.
And just as we go through the field, it's something that you mentioned to me off the air, but starting to cycle through pit stops. This is lap 39 that they are running here under green for Jake Hickson. This is, I think, 35 or so since the green flag came back out after stage number 1. And I'd expect pit stops throughout the field. There's a lot of takers here now down pit road, starting with the 25 of Terry Cooper, the highest one. He was in 9th when he came in.
Terry Cooper, Dylan Kreitz, Sean O'Brien, Cameron Caldwell, Jason Chambers, Austin Reedy, Braden Proudfoot, Zach Probst, all on pit road right now. The 09 of Philip Loy is as well. All of these guys deciding to say it's opened up, and listening to the radio right now, there are more deciding that this lap is the one to come down. We'll see if hitting these extra couple laps early pays off for the 25 of Terry Cooper Jr. He was the highest running, as you mentioned, Chad, that made his stop first. Let's see if he gains any time with it.
Yeah, it's one of those things you kind of have to pay attention to, because this race has been green with the exception of the stage break. If it remains green, I don't think you get as much of an advantage out of short pitting, just because once your tires go away, the guys that pit later will have those fresher Goodyears on their cars. So, 1 or 2 laps, I would expect your leaders to come in. You got Hickson, Ippolito, Pataska, and Figliolo, your top 4. And highest that just came in now is the 18 of Anderson working his way down pit road.
He and the 47 of William Boisvert and the 55 of Dakota Knoll all on pit road now. Also, drivers that are 1 lap down making stops as well. The 84 of Alonso Chicano and the 44 of Randy Drumhiller all on pit road at the moment. Watching these stop times, looks like Boisvert with a 14.9, kind of a slow stop time. Same with Robert Anderson at 15 flat. My timing is going to have it as the entire time they're stationary, so not totally the pit service time, but nonetheless, looks like the best on and off pit road so far has been the 36 of Dylan Kreitz, and he has actually jumped Terry Cooper Jr. right now on track.
Yeah, Sean O'Brien Jr. as well had a fantastic spot. He is up 2 spots, losing 5 positions when he came down pit road. We'll take a look at him right now. The 78 of David Duke. It's not a great stop. Maybe lost some time there on pit entry because he was 3 seconds slower on his in-lap. So just pit entry, not the greatest for him compared to everybody around him.
Not too many takers on the stay out and try to catch a caution approach. I think they kind of got shied away from it in stage 1.
Yeah,
looking at it over here, Zach Probst he was the one that stayed out the longest, right? He and Kevin Franks, and they've already made their stops for the stay. Well, Kevin Franks has not made his stop yet, but he is 1 lap down. Zach Probst has already made his stop for this stage and is looking to go to the end of it now.
That's Nolan Hawkson right there on your screen. He is the last car on the lead lap. Of course, not yet to pit. He works his way up to 6th place as the 5 of Princeton works his way down pit road. Now only 6 cars have not come in for their stop, as here comes your leaders with Jake Hickson down pit road.
And he actually is the only one of the top 5 that decides to make his stop right now. Ippolito, Pataska, Jason Taylor, and Hodgson stay out. Brandon Figliola does follow his teammate Jake Hickson onto pit road, but they were a couple seconds apart on the track. Hickson in for his stop now. Should see 4 tires on this car. The right side's up. Looks to be fairly smooth for them. They'll get around to the left side, jack it up. We won't see the pit crew, but definitely see the car move. He's going to drop on the jack with his 4 tires and get away. We'll see where he cycles out here. I think he's going to end up behind Terry Cooper Jr.
Yeah, and a couple more guys working their way down pit road. That's Ty Ippolito working his way off. Sorry, that's the 7 of Figliola. Ty Ippolito inherits the lead for now. But between himself, Pataska, and Taylor, as well as Nolan Hawkson, those 4 are the only guys up at the front of the field that have yet to pit. Other than that, further behind, Franks, Coppernell, as well as Mabry have yet to pit here as we work our way under green.
Missed a bit of a moment. Ippolito had Terry Cooper Jr. unlapping himself, and Terry got real loose below him, but got himself clear. He's away from the lucky dog position and is currently your 2nd highest driver out here that has made their stop. Dylan Kreitz still the one pacing the guys that have made their stop, and to Dylan's credit, he has the short run car. He decided to take the tires a little early to see if he can build the gap out big enough that when he loses time, he doesn't lose too much to these guys. We'll see if that pays off for him. So he is currently pacing the field just 3 seconds, it looks like, ahead of Terry. And meanwhile, Ty Ippolito continuing to stay out. I'm surprised by this strategy, Chad.
Yeah, 33.7 the last lap of Ty Ippolito compared to a 32.3 for Dylan Kreitz, the first car that has come into pit. And looks like now here comes your leader, Ty Ippolito, down pit road.
See Ippolito and the driver behind him, Dallas Pataska, down pit road. Let's see, Jason Taylor is cycling around. He's also going to be on pit road this lap. And it looks to be the same with the 95. So your top 4 that had been staying out are now down pit road this time, as well as Kevin Franks right there in the 98. He's a lap down, but getting his service done as well as Taylor pulls into his box.
Yeah, everybody clean, getting down on their entry. The 95 is in as well. And that's going to wrap things up for this pit cycle. That might move Dylan Kreitz back out to lead. We'll have to see where things cycle out for him.
It does appear that he is in the lead now. 1.5 seconds only, though, over Terry Cooper Jr. Terry is starting to track him down. Last lap for Dylan was a 32.6 compared to Terry's 32.2. A little bit of traffic in there. Oh, big wiggle behind your leader from Josh Coppernell, just out of our frame right there. I caught it out of the corner of my eye in the sim here as Terry Cooper Jr. was getting by Josh, but we'll see how long Dylan can hang on to the lead now. Got himself out in clean air. He has a great short run car. Let's see if he made an adjustment on this pit stop to get more long run pace out of it.
Yeah, he's run 12 laps on his current set of tires. Same with a lot of the guys behind him, between Cooper, O'Brien Jr., Proudfoot. All those guys stopped on the same lap as him. The interesting one to watch is going to be the 32 here of Jake Hickson. He stopped 6 laps later than these guys all around him. So he's going to have a couple laps fresher tires as he tries to work his way up through this field. He was 0.3 faster than Terry Cooper Jr. last lap and almost 0.7 of a second faster than Dylan Kreitz last time by.
So Hickson now working behind Dylan Kreitz, but as you said, Hickson's tires are 5 to 6 laps fresher than Dylan, so I don't expect Hickson to wait too long behind Kreitz. He might just be able to make the move over here in turn 3. I think he's going to try to find the inside right here.
Yeah, what a great move here. He's diving, he peeks his nose to the inside, later entry there from the 36, and what a battle these two are putting on. We'll have to see, though, if Hickson can get past it. The tire's starting to wear down just a little bit for Kreitz as we pass halfway here from Homestead.
Almost contact right there. But Hickson gets the move done. He's able to cut low with those fresher tires. Still that bottom line going to be the preferred one pretty much the whole night here at Homestead. And now you're going to see Hickson drive away from Dylan Kreitz, and Terry Cooper Jr. is eyeing up Dylan Kreitz now for second.
Yeah, and as we cross halfway here and pit stops under green have cycled their way through the field, we're going to step aside and give you guys the chance to turn it up for just a couple laps here from Homestead. And back here at Homestead, Miami, Hawkson still leading the way. One of the best battles, though, on the lead lap is here between Anderson and Kreitz. Anderson got around him not too long ago, and just as we were talking about earlier on, this long run pace of Dylan Kreitz not having to play into his favor so far today.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. He just has his car built a little different way. I mean, he fires off so well. We've seen it from the 2 restarts we've had, or well, the start and the restart we've had tonight. But unfortunately, that has not paid off for him because these stages have gone green pretty much the whole way here in the Galaxy Cup Series. Just past halfway, as you mentioned. We crossed that about 10 laps ago. We're looking at just about inside of 23 to go in the stage here in stage 2. Still a lot of stage points to be had. If Dylan Kreitz can hang on here, we'll be able to gain a couple more. And like I said, those stage points can really make or break for you come later in the season.
I hate to correct you, by the way, your math, you forgot to carry a 1 there. We're at 15 to go, not 26 that we were talking about. But hey, doing everything on the fly. We accept in the booth, we accept mistakes here. We definitely love mediocrity because that's what we are.
We're having fun up here in the booth. It's fun to be able to call these races, and it's something unique with Galaxy. As far as I'm aware, we're the first to do it, to be able to get a full distance league racing in like this, and it's great to see it. Carrying 2 series, the Cup Series, the premier one here we see on JCTV. We also got the Truck Series that runs on Friday nights, following the real world schedule as well. Off this week, for some reason, NASCAR didn't want the trucks at Homestead, which I kind of dislike, but nonetheless, the Xfinity Series produced a great race today. We're excited to see what the Cup Series does tomorrow, but we got a Galaxy Cup Series race to continue watching tonight, and we're looking at a battle here between Dallas Pataska in the 23 and Ty Ippolito in the 19. This is your battle for second. They worked their way by Terry Cooper Jr., who just fell back to 4th. And Ty is all over the back bumper of his teammate in that 23.
Yeah, that was a lap car of Cody Luke. They were getting by there. The 8 Bud machine, of course, reminiscent of the old Dale Jr. days. It's weird to think about how long ago that was because, surprisingly enough, and this is a fact that I learned not too long ago, he was with Hendrick in the 88 for a longer period of time than he was running that 8 car for DEI.
Can I equate you to Mike Joy tonight, Chad?
You
Coming
can.
up with all these history facts and
You
these
can.
little tidbits. That's great.
I
Great
watch
stuff. I love it.
I watch way too much NASCAR Man History, Slap Shoes, all those guys on YouTube, putting out the great content and giving me this encyclopedic knowledge of random NASCAR facts that nobody ever cares about.
I'm going to call you Mike Joy for the rest of the night. No, I kid. But still, that's great that you know that stuff off the top of your head. Meanwhile, I'm surprised here.
What if I break out? What if I break out a slide job for you?
I mean, we did just see the 8 car get past. Unfortunately, he wasn't slide jobbing anybody, but we're seeing Ty here coming back to the race, finally making his move on Dallas, and he's got that preferred line right on that first seam. I think he's gonna be able to get by his teammate right here off 4.
Yeah, he is clear off of 4, and sights are set up ahead. The 23 drops back into 3rd place. Now Jake Hawkson is 5.5 seconds up the road. So it's going to be Hawkson, Ippolito, Pataska, Anderson, and Terry Cooper Jr. We have 10 laps remaining until the end of stage number 2.
And I don't think Dallas is totally done yet here. If there's one thing I learned from racing him in his short few weeks in Galaxy Cup last year, and also the 500 and the Clash and all the speed weeks from this year, is that he knows when to go and when to hold. And right now, I think he's just biding his time, see if he can keep enough tire underneath him to be able to chase Ty back down here before the close of the stage. They pitted at the same time on the same lap. It was 4 laps later than when Jake Hawkson did. So these two, they might try to bide their time, see if they can work their way toward Jake. But as you mentioned, inside 10 to go here, looking at 9 to go in the stage. I just don't know if they can make up that 5-second gap to the lead.
I don't think there's much of a reason to push. I mean, at this point, it goes back to the old Kenny Rogers song. You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. At this point, you're just kind of holding on for dear life. 8 laps to the end of the stage, and they've got some work to do.
Yeah, I think the battle is pretty much right here between the two of them. And behind them, Robert Anderson having himself a night, running 4th right now. He's 3 seconds back of this battle. But running 4th, I think that's pretty much the highest we've seen him in any of his Galaxy Cup Series starts. He's sporting his 3rd start of the season now. Is that number 18 car. He started great. Average start in the series has been 3rd, but his finishes have not been to show for. He didn't have a great Daytona, both on the speedway and on the road course, averaging 16th in his finishing position. So the fact that he's running 4th right now is a drastic change to that, and it's great to see that he's recovering and bouncing back from just north up the road in a couple hours in the past 2 weeks.
Yep, Robert Anderson started in 4th, currently running into 4th. But talking about guys that are started where they're currently running, let's take a look back at your leader. Qualified on pole, but just barely over the 40 car of Dane Cruz. And unfortunately for Dane, his connection issues have ended his day prematurely. But otherwise, Hixon started on pole and running up there as well. Ty Ippolito's currently 2nd. He's worked his way up from 7th, so doing some great work there for Ty, and overall just some great racing. Some guys working their way up through the field, and others, unfortunately, dropping like stones.
Currently, your top 10, Hixon, Ippolito, Pataska, Anderson, Cooper Jr., Duke, Kreitz, Sean O'Brien Jr., Jason Taylor, and Braden Proudfoot. Shout out to Braden. Again, his Galaxy debut, and he's making the most of it right now. He's up 22 spots from where he started. He started 32nd. He's worked his way up to 10th now. He's looking at 1 stage point if he can maintain here for the rest of the stint. Inside 5 to go here in stage 2. Looking pretty good for that 6 car.
Yeah, I always love guys that can just jump right into a series, get comfortable with it very quick, That's the difference between the official races on iRacing and racing in the league. You get to know the cars around you, you get to know everybody. But for him jumping in at his first time, it reminds me of my league race that I had last Tuesday night. We had a new guy jump in, and his first ever race in the series, he got a podium. So hopefully we'll see the same from Proudfoot, doing a great job jumping right in here, as you mentioned, running in the top 10. And he's got 2 seconds out the back to Probst for him to get a stage point here.
And that's something that's been fairly rare in Galaxy. I mean, of course, the first season, your maiden win, if you ever won, was going to be a win in your rookie year. But now being in the 2nd season for the Galaxy Cup Series, we haven't had too many guys come out and make stellar debuts and go out and win races. We've seen it in the Truck Series a little bit. We had a guy by the name of Alex Stodner who led all but 2 laps at Eldora last year on the truck side of things. I won't toot my own horn about my Bristol Spring race that I had in the Cup Series, but guys like Dallas Pataska came out and ran really well in his debut as well last year. So Braden's got a little bit of ground to make up to say that he's having one of the best debuts in Galaxy history, but nonetheless, a top 10 night, if he can maintain here through stage 2 and then stage 3 as well, would be a great start to his Galaxy career.
Yeah, and you mentioned running at Bristol in the spring last season. Bristol in the spring of this season, going to be a little bit different about 4 races from now, where we take it to Bristol on dirt. It's going to be the first time on dirt in 50 years. Last time was back in Nashville, back 50 years ago. So Bristol dirt is going to be an interesting format there. I believe we're going to have 2, at least in the Cup Series, we're going to have 2... or multiple heat races to qualify for that one. It's going to be an interesting format as NASCAR takes to dirt for the first time in quite a while here in 2021.
Yeah, if you've been watching the Cup Series broadcasts on Sundays, you would have seen that they're teasing it iRacing's teasing that dirt on Bristol. They're getting it developed and dialing in the last few lines of code that they may need for it. We've seen some real life videos. I don't know if you caught the super late that went around that track. It's like he scrubbed no corner speed off. I mean, it was pretty incredible. Fastest that I think I've ever seen a lap turned at Bristol, period. And it'll be interesting. We got a yellow out for the stage. Your stage 2 winner, just like that, it's gone by. Jake Hickson ahead of Ty Ippolito and Dallas Pataska.
What if I told you that on asphalt there was a vehicle that could turn laps under 10 seconds at Bristol?
I would be pretty amazed, but I'm going to guess it's some sort of sprint car.
You are incorrect. It is the IR01.
I would have never thought that car would have been able to go around that fast, but not surprising. It's built from Dallara.
That is the Dallara prototype open-wheeled concept car that they built for iRacing at the end of last season. And we were doing a test race there for a series that I am running that's an all-oval IR01 series, and that thing can just fly around that track. You can get down to about 9.2 seconds if you got a clean track in front of you there at Bristol.
We get to see these guys come down pit road here for the stage break. Looks to be pretty straightforward. I think 4 tires and fuel again. Chad, should be pretty straightforward here.
Yeah, I think a lot of these guys, I don't see anybody on the lead lap coming in or staying out, which does not surprise me in any form or fashion. Of course, I was mistaken earlier. There are no bonus points for leading a lap. But the worst part about this, I know that Hawkson's going to get the lucky dog, but he just barely got lapped before that competition yellow came out for the end of the stage.
You see these guys all getting 4 tires and fuel right here. We're watching our stage winner right now. Let's see if he can win his race off pit road. And he's pretty clear and clean on it. What do you say, Chad? Think we can dial him up?
I think we can get him on the radio for that one. Jake, it's Chad up here in the booth.
Jake
You got a copy?
Hickson, this is... Oh, yeah, go ahead, Chad.
Yep. Jake, you got a copy?
Yeah, 10-4, loud and clear.
Hey, great race you've had so far, just working your way up and maintaining the lead for quite a bit during this race. How are your thoughts on the car? How's it handling?
Handling really well. It feels really good. We did a really good job building the setup over the week, so I'm really happy with our teamwork and what we did. So it's really paying off today, as you can see. So I'm really happy with the car.
We've seen Dylan Kreitz on restarts. He gets up to the front, but unfortunately the long run pace isn't there. Is that just a difference in setup between you guys? Because it feels like your car, maybe not the best the first 3 or 4 laps under green, but as the run goes on, you pick up speed somehow.
Definitely a different in setups. He's, I guess, focused on the short run speed, and then we're focused on long run pace. So that's just a choice we've made, and hopefully we don't find ourselves in a situation where, we're going to need short run speed. But I think we'll be all right if we need to do something like that. But hopefully it just keeps going green like it has all race.
Yeah, great showing so far. Eric, you had anything you want to talk to Jake about?
Yeah, Jake, Eric up here in the booth. I wanted to know, how has the track changed so far for you throughout the race? I know we're sitting at about 5:15 sim time. Have you felt any differences in the track, and do you think we're going to feel any more here in this final stage?
I haven't really noticed the track do much of anything or change too much. It's felt pretty much the same. To be honest, I've been up front all the race. I've been, fortunate enough to have the clean air. So that question might be answered somebody in the 5th place or somebody that's dealt with dirty air. I've been pretty lucky to have clean air. So I don't know if I'm the best one to answer that one right now.
Well, hey.
Alrighty, well, looks like the pace car light are going off here, going 1 to green. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jake. That is your Stage 2 winner of Jake Hickson there in the 32. And, man, these dynamic autosports guys all over the front of this field. It seems like we have an identical start here for Stage 2 that we saw at the end of Stage number 1.
Hickson absolutely putting on a clinic out here right now. Qualified on pole, won that Majors Garage pole award, got himself that free set from Majors Garage. And then he goes out and finishes really well in Stage 1. Didn't quite get the win. His teammate did. But nonetheless, that's basically the same setup, right? They're in the same stable. So, and then he goes out and wins the stage 2, and they're starting on the front row. Dallas in 5th back there as well. And Brandon, after the pit stop, had worked himself up into the top 10. He has chosen to start at the back of the field again. He's going to restart 19th in that 7 car, so we'll see what he can do as well.
Yeah, you mentioned that Majors Pole Award as well. We have to thank In the Pits News and all of our sponsors here in the Galaxy Cup for allowing us to put on such a great show for all you guys watching at home here on JCTV as we get ready. The pace car gets set to pull off, and we've seen Hawkson get great jumps the last 2 times we've gone back to green, and have to see if he can do the same. He does very easily here. The 1 and 2 are clear. The next battle is going to be Terry Cooper Jr. He's going to get up to 3rd and maintain that spot.
Restarts are always a sketchy piece here at Homestead, just because so many cars are packed up so tightly. We see David Duke, big move from Dallas Pataska, sliding across David Duke, who got a little loose right there with Jason Taylor on his inside. And here comes Dylan Christ with that short run speed. Let's see if he can find his way back toward the front.
Yeah, it's definitely something in the setup of that car. Maybe the camber just kind of burns up the tires a little bit more than what everybody else is doing. But track temperature is down considerably. Track temperature down to 86. I believe we were at, if I remember, at 109 when the race started, something like that. We were up in the hundreds at least.
97.
Or sorry, 97. I'm bad at numbers and remembering things, except for, random NASCAR facts. But either way, we're down considerably, about 15 degrees as Kreitz, hopefully that helps his tires. Maybe just the lower track temperatures will prevent some wear on them, and he's all over it, the back bumper of Cooper Jr. Oh, and caution out again.
At the back of the field, I think it's the 88 of Andrew Russo. Yeah, he's spun around over here on the front stretch, Chad. I don't know if we'll be able to get a replay of this. Off of turn 4, not a good time, not a good ride for that 88.
You see they're getting loose on exit and spinning around. Doesn't look like he's collected anybody, but fortunately for him, able to keep things going.
That was a big move, I think, from the 79 of Reedy or the 95 of Hodgson. I'm not sure which. Made a nice move to avoid him. He kind of spun right in the middle of the track, and everyone just scattered to avoid him. And we'll rack him up and go again. It was only about a 3-4 lap stint. I don't expect to see these guys try to make stops here. Maybe some guys at the back, but this does give someone a chance to catch the lucky dog, and that guy that's catching that break is Alan Rowell in the 15.
Yeah, and as they worked his way down the front stretch, taking a look here at Russo that brought out the caution, you see there is the white line, but there's also a considerable amount of gap from that apron line to the actual inside pit wall. There's plenty of pavement down there for these guys to kind of save it and collect things. There were 2 or 3 cars that had to dive down to the apron like that, and fortunately for them, that pit wall, it does jump out at you on corner exit.
Ooh.
But there is plenty of room otherwise.
We missed it up front, but Jason Taylor is a lonely person. I think he's dragging the 62 of Zach Probst, the 47 William Boisvert, the 7 of Figliola, and the 64 of Andrew Jones down pit road with him.
95 down pit road as well. So not a lot of takers. Most of these guys, I think, were already at the tail end of the lead lap. I'd expect this just to be fuel only. Watch the 95. No, he's going to take at least rights, but that's a very surprising move.
Remember, they have 10 sets. They've used 2 for stage 1 and another 2 for stage 2, so probably about 5 sets remaining here in the pits. Doesn't hurt to take one here because with 98 to go, you're still looking at about, I'd say about 1 stop to be good to the end of the race. We saw about 55 laps from Zach Probst. He's pretty much the longest one that went in stage 1. And no one dared go that long in stage 2. So these guys should be good on 1 more stop to the end of the race. But potentially after 3 laps, I could see where tire wear could play a factor. The driver in me highly doubts it, but it'll be interesting to see what some of those guys can do, especially since they were already at the back of the lead lap.
Real quickly, we're going to be joined here by Josh Coppernell. Josh, a very short run, the first caution of the day that's not brought out by a stage. How does that impact the way that your car is handling? What are your thoughts as you try to get things rolling back once again?
I mean, not really changes anything. I just missed my pit box there, but it's not your guys' fault. Yeah, it doesn't really change anything. Just really trying to take it easy. I'm 2 laps down now, just kind of riding, gaining a lot of experience now, just seeing how the car will handle around other guys. I mean, we do have a lot of guys 2 laps down, so we do still have a lot of positions to gain, but this doesn't change anything.
How does that short run there that we just had under green, maybe 3 or 4 laps, how does that impact your rhythm for the rest of the race?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it definitely makes it so that my car may not be so super loose with those brand new, fresh Goodyears, but yeah, I'm not really sure. Just gonna go out there and just continue to drive the car.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be coming to 1 to go. Best of luck the rest of the way, and hopefully you can pick up some more positions as you are one of about 6 or 7 cars that are 2 laps down.
Thank you.
That's Josh Coppernell there. You're looking at him, the driver of the number 42 for Piston Broke Racing. And, you know, if you put those letters together, you know, Piston Broke Racing, PBR, definitely got to appreciate some creative team names here on iRacing.
Yeah, Josh has assembled a good group of guys that they more so see the fun in all of this, and it's great to still see the enjoyment of racing instead of the obligation of running well, right? So just like you and I, Chad, have fun up here in the booth, Josh having fun down there on the track, even riding 2 laps down. Like he said, he's still got some positions to gain. So even though he might not be on the lead lap pace, he understands the race in relative terms around him. And he looks to gain a couple spots there. Currently in 25th. Looks like the first car 2 laps down is 23rd. So you can gain a couple spots right there.
Yeah.
Racking it for the restart here. Looks just like the restart for stage 3. I noticed one other player right here, Chad, at 36 of Dylan Kreitz, to see if he can do anything. There has been a heat cycle on the tires, and that does play into a factor, even on iRacing, but he's had the short run car to beat tonight.
Yeah, he's worked his way up to 4th as we get set to go green once again. So you see the 32 and the 19, those 2 teammates, I'm sure they're going to communicate between each other and tell each other when they are going to go and kind of try to time things out between them. But otherwise, going to see how things shake out behind. Not the best start from the 19. He's going to get a huge shove from Kreitz as they work their way down to turn. What a great jump there, though, from Jake Hickson.
I mean, at that point, it almost looked like they didn't have communication on when they were starting, because Ty just did not go. And here comes Kreitz to his outside. The 36 looking strong on the top. I think he'll be able to roll past Ty Ippolito here. Let's see if he can go track down Hickson.
Yeah, he's clear of the 19, now working right on that back bumper of the 32. Little bit higher on
Big
exit
run.
is the 32, and here comes a huge run down the front straightaway. He's going to, oh, we got caution once again.
Off of turn 4, there is someone still spinning. It's a 64 of Andrew T. Jones. This 85 of John Medeiros. I'm still going to butcher that name for the rest of the night. I apologize, but
It started
the replay
just
here. It
out
looks like
in
it happens
front.
in front of him.
To see who brought it out at first.
I think it's the 64 of Andrew T. Jones off
See if
of
we
turn
can
4.
Take another. Yeah, it's a 64 there down on the inside. We'll take one more look at it to see if we can. Oh, he was already loose. Let's see. Let's roll it back here in real time. So he is, yeah, he's loose up on the top and then just comes straight down across the nose of, I believe that's the 98.
Ooh.
And just collects everybody in behind, and just unfortunate with the way that that one worked out for these guys.
Is the 88 of Russo and the 84 of Mike Tellier that got involved there as well. Cody Luke and Kevin Franks got stacked up on the wall right there that we saw off of turn 4. A lot of guys' nights not going well right there. This is the second time Russo's been around, and in about 10 laps. He's not having a good stage 3. We'll see if he can recover here with 93 to go. Another about 6 laps on the tires there. Chad, I'll be honest with you, as a driver, I might actually think about it at this point.
Yeah,
That extra set, or a couple extra sets laying in the pits.
plenty of takers back at the end of the lead lap. David, Duke, Jason Taylor, Princeton, Pataska, Boisvert, Jones as well. So there are a lot of takers at the tail end of the lead lap. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out for them. His leaders now have 13 laps on their tires. Of course, not all of them under green, but still, just the way that it's played out. This is our 4th caution of the night, 2 of them for stages, 2 of them for incidents, and both of those have come during this latest stage.
Something you'll notice here on the broadcast is the sun is starting to set just a little bit. It's behind a cloud, I think, at the moment right now. So the track entirely in shade. You'll be able to see the track temperature starting to plummet as well as we roll under yellow here. Yep, behind a big giant cloud, but you see that glare right there. That's going to be a troublesome, well, a little bit, I think, for these drivers now at this point in the evening, approaching 5:30 sim time on the virtual east coast of Florida.
We are still in Florida for the 3rd race in a row. By the way, we were talking about, the fun that can be had in iRacing. Would you like to hear the fun event that one of my leagues is putting on this month here in iRacing?
Lay it on me.
It is what we call Skippy Cross. Do you have any guesses what that might be?
Well, we're definitely going to include the Skip Barber.
Correct.
And I'm going to go out on a limb, and you're going to be racing at Daytona on the rally course.
It's not at Daytona, but it is Rally Cross, and we've got a special events league, as we're calling it. It's a league, but it's 1 race a month, and every single race is something different. The opening was under the darkness of night at iRacing Super Speedway. It was multi-class with GTs and LMPs and everything that could possibly have a headlight on iRacing. Last month in February, it was multi-class stock cars. We had everything from the modifieds up to the car of tomorrow. And this month we got Skippy Cross. We've got a roller derby event coming up later this month as well, believe it or not. So just the fun that you can have in iRacing kind of equals out to something that definitely balances this more into a game compared to the serious simulation that some guys might be having.
Yeah, and that's the fun you can have on iRacing, the range of serious simulation to just going out there and having a great time. Chad, since you mentioned those, where can we catch those broadcasts?
They will be on the National Racing Network, and of course the play-by-play voice of those events is my normal counterpart up here in the booth of Chris Graham, so you can catch those on YouTube at the National Racing Network, and he does a great job putting on those shows, and of course he joins us typically here on Saturdays during the Galaxy Cup as well. Such a fun show to put on, so give us about 2 weeks there, and make sure you drop a follow or subscription or whatever it is on YouTube to the National Racing Network to catch all of that fun action.
And if you're enjoying what you're seeing here on JCTV, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You got the Cup Series pretty much weekly here on JCTV. Yep. Next week heading to Las Vegas, same time, same bad old place. Here on JCTV, Chad, they're racking them up for another restart. Look at that guy on the outside of the front row.
If NASCAR runs it, we are going to run it as well, as the 32 leads the field. But look at who's on the outside. It's Dylan Kreitz. And how is that going to play out? Because, that 36 has been on a rail every single time we've taken to the restarts, and then from there just slowly falling back through the field.
2 heat cycles on the tires, definitely not going to help them.
But it doesn't seem to be hurting him either. He's already peeking his nose to the inside. Can he get there for the corner? He can, sending it up the inside. Not able to hold it there is Kreitz.
Get a fallen for now. I'm keeping an eye back here in the pack while we watch this battle up front. Dallas Pataska was the first on tires right there, and he's already worked his way up to 8. So keep one loose eye toward the back as we see Dylan following the tire tracks of Jake Hickson. He's just looking to size up. He's going to get a push right here from Jake's teammate Ty down the backstretch. Here goes the challenge for the lead. Kreitz to the bottom.
Door to door as they enter turn number 3. Who's going to get better run on exit? 36. He's got him at his quarter panel. Is he going to get clear? Not quite as they head down the front straightaway, but still going to have the shorter line through 1 and 2 and much better position on entries than 36. He is clear. Kreitz takes the lead as they go into turn 1 and 2.
So the short run car back out front, but a big push coming here on the top. Ty Ippolito getting tucked right in behind his teammates, gives Jake a chance to challenge again. The draft does play a pretty big role here on the short run, but as these tires wear out, not going to play too much of a factor the rest of the way home.
Thinking about the crossover move there was
picture.
Just thinking about the crossover move, but you talked about him. Pataska stopping under that last caution, and Wow, up to 6th place right now, working on the back of, or he's up to 5th right now, working on the back of Terry Cooper Jr. And you talk about fresh tires, you can see what they do right now.
Yeah, so these leaders have 2 heat cycles on the tires, and like I said, it does play a factor. Meanwhile, Pataska, fresh set of tires off of pit road, worked his way up to 4th now as he crosses the line. Sets his sights on these top 3. I don't see why he can't just jump up there in the clean air and start to try to drive away. And if it stays green, he has himself in the catbird seat.
Now, I asked the same thing to Chris last week, but what does that even mean? The catbird seat. What is that? Is that like a cat? Is that a cat sitting on a bird? Like, is there like a saddle for that? I don't. How do you make that out?
It's just one of those sayings. You just learn it.
That nobody knows what it means, but it exists. And look at that, the green and black car, the 36 of Kreitz, just boxed in by all of these Dynamic Autosports guys rocking the red and black liveries, and wow.
So I guess those 2 heat cycles actually didn't work in Kreitz's favor. I mean, he was able to get the short run pace right there, you saw, but already back to 3rd, and he's starting to fall just a little bit again. Meanwhile, those fresh tires, as we watched Dallas Pataska make a move on his teammate, Ty Ippolito. Ty's going to try to cross him over. Not quite get enough side draft that I would think he would want to be able to drag Dallas back. I don't think he's going to try to challenge him too hard, though he does have the move up the inside. Does Ippolito.
Plenty of momentum. Yeah, that's CC37 of Ty Ippolito. Working his way. He's got it on entry, that shorter radius of the corner for Ty Ippolito, but not able to get clear. Can he do it here in 3 and 4? No, he only gets as far as about the quarter panel of his teammate, and just here comes all the momentum back on the outside of Dallas Pataska.
One of the nice things that iRacing gives us the ability to do that you actually can't do in real life, not at least quite yet, is have a camera follow the car so close at the same speed. This gives us unique angles here on JCTV, and we see Dallas finally work his way clear of Ty.
I believe you could solve that problem with duct tape and a selfie stick, but I don't know how feasible that is in the real world.
Well, your aerodynamics would absolutely not be great, right?
Yeah,
I mean, we've seen, the closest I've seen it come yet is the drones on dirt tracks.
And
especially if you get that Fox drone in there. I mean, it can fly really fast. Yeah, so keeping up with these cars is not too far away for drones and using drones in live broadcasts.
Yeah, that drone cam that Fox has been using for their broadcast as of late has been just fantastic. It's gotten some great shots, and it definitely is. It's one of those developments that has really changed live broadcasting, especially outdoors. One thing that reminds me of is back when I believe it was ESPN and ABC introduced their live telemetry for NASCAR back at Sonoma when they won actually a TV Emmy Award for that development, because all the extra information that it gives was just so instrumental. As you see somebody possibly blowing an engine, it's going to be the 78 coming down pit road.
Yeah, it's on pit road.
Yeah, David Duke has blown an engine.
I'll have to go back and see here. I think he was a part of that incident off of turn 4, right? So probably just a little bit of damage, finally having his motor let go on him. I'll see if I can dig through my replay here while we continue to watch the live pictures as he pulls into his pit. Meanwhile, the battle up front between Jake Hickson and Dallas Pataska, the 2 Dynamic Autosport teammates, Ty Ippolito waiting in the wings.
By the way, I don't get another Mike Joy name call for that Emmy reference.
Oh, absolutely. I wasn't gonna pound it in there anymore.
I'm just full of random facts and knowledge, and I don't know what to do with it. Just take me to a racing trivia night, and I will have you covered. Just you, me, and Donald Davidson, and we'll have everything covered.
I'll definitely put some extra money down on it.
Still a great battle for the lead here between the 32 and the 23 of Dynamic Autosports of Hickson and Pataska. Hickson still in the lead, and I mean, these guys just not giving him an inch as Dallas Pataska.
Just cleaning up what I said. I was watching back on the replay. Duke's motor just let go in turn 4. Not under yellow like Harrison Burton's did during the Xfinity race today, but Duke's motor just kind of let go in turn 4, and He drove the access road all the way back around to get on a pit road. So a fortunate early end to his night with that extra bit of damage. And it looks like he'll retire from the race, needing to get that required repair done here in the sim.
And as this run goes on, we have to note Pataska, 12-lap fresher tires than his teammate Jake Hickson right in front of him. Going to be fun to watch how that plays in as this run goes on.
Every lap that ticks away, Chad, is a lap that you lose on the fresher tires. And they just start to equalize even that bit more to the older tires. So I expect Dallas to want to try to make his move pretty quickly here. I mean, he's been stalking Jake for a little bit now. I also don't know, maybe he thinks he needs to be in the dirty air to make sure his car balance is the best because of that tighter feeling in the dirty air compared to the loose feeling you get in clean air if you set it up to be loose as fast. So I don't expect Dallas to try to wait this move out, but we'll have to see what he does here. He's still stalking just about 2/10 off the bumper of Jake Hickson.
Yeah, and losing a couple of car lengths there. The gap now from first to second and now fourth. We'll take a look further back in the field. Maybe one of the best battles we've got going on right now involves the guy that we talked about with the short run speed all race long is Dylan Kreitz. And I mean, he's back to 6th right now, but he might just lose 7th to his teammate there at Black Flag Motorsports. You see him in the 65, Sean O'Brien Jr.
Tell you what, if you don't mind looking further back, just in the back of the picture there is a hornet's nest sitting here around 10th place. Cameron Caldwell is, I don't want to say holding up a line. He and Zach Probst racing real hard with the 6 of Braden Proudfoot right in front of him, but you see Brandon Figliola giving Cam a little bump right there down the straightaway. Here comes Alex Princeton to the inside in that 5. These guys have been a gaggle since the restart, and they're almost 3 wide with a lapper.
They might be 3 wide here on exit. No, getting a better run is both the 5 and the 7. And just this run that they're getting here on the high line, really kind of leaving out Princeton to dry. I mean, there's so many cars that are running the top. You talk about the draft. It might not be a super speedway like Daytona we saw 2 weeks ago, but that draft still does make a difference. Is everybody up on the high side compared to Alex Princeton?
Yeah, the 550 horsepower package has been very interesting because it's tried to bring such close racing together in the Cup Series, both in real life and here in the sim. So iRacing trying to follow it to a T. They got it pretty well with the fact that it's supposed to invite a lot more pack racing. At the same time, the tracks, the way they are right now, still invite a lot of single file because you need to be in the best line to get the most out of the car, which is right around the bottom, or just right on that first seam here at Homestead. So we see him move here from the 5 on the inside of the 12. Alex is really trying to make it work against Cam Caldwell.
Yeah, interesting to see Princeton right there on the white line. You typically don't see guys run it that deep into the corner. They're 3 wide down the backstretch with some lapped cars. And yeah, I mean, that white line, not the optimal line, maybe just where that you see that first dark seam in the road. That's where you want your left side tires to be to get the best run off the corner, and Princeton not able to make it work, running too deep down there on the bottom. He's going to lose some ground there to the 12 of Cameron Caldwell.
One that I'm surprised, Chad, is Figliola in the 7. He has not worked his way back forward through the pack like he did in stage 2 after he took that extra stop under the stage 1 break. And I also notice on his car, as we see in the back of our picture there, he has a little bit of left side damage. He might have collected some of that from the incident that happened here about 15-20 laps ago on the front stretch. So Figliola up to 12th, working behind Princeton in 11th. They're chasing Cameron Caldwell for 10th right there. And pretty much the line is, let's say, about 6th on back. I mean, we got Dylan Kreitz leading this line, then Sean O'Brien Jr., as you mentioned, his teammate right behind him. Small gap to then Braden Proudfoot in 8th, Zach Probst 9th, Cameron Caldwell in the 12 right there in 10th, followed by Alex Princeton, Figliola, Anderson right behind him.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about how tires wear down over the course of a run, you need to look no further than the 12, 5, and 7 here on your screen. Caldwell running lap 37 of his tire stint. Princeton, he's run 20 laps. Or sorry, yeah, he's run 25 laps. And then Figliola, he's running lap 30, split in the middle of those two, as well as Zach Probst running 30 laps on his. So these guys have all pit under different cycles of yellow. They put different heat cycles on their tires, and it doesn't seem to be paying off for any one over the other this far into a run.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Alex isn't doing a little bit better on that fresher tire. And some of that could be down to a setup change or something that he may have made, but he's going to lose a spot here to Brandon in the 7. Brandon works to his inside. This is 9 seconds off the lead right now for these guys. But yeah, I expected the tires to be a little bit better. Like I mentioned earlier, I expected Dallas to get by Jake. He hasn't done so even to this point in the race. And Alex not working by Brandon right there is another episode of that. The only one that I see through our top 15 that has had the tires pay off, Chad, is the 79 running 5th right now. Austin Reedy took the extra set of tires. Big move right there from Alex. But Austin Reedy in 5th was the only other one that took tires at the same time Dallas did on that last caution. He and Alex Princeton as well. And Austin's made the most of it now in the 5th spot.
One thing that I have to say I love about iRacing is how they model the tire wear and how they model kind of what happens to these tires as the run goes on. You can look at the nose of this. This is the 79 of Austin Reedy. Just look at how much rubber has built up on the front of this machine. That was a white nose at the start of this race for Sandwich Man Racing. Great team name, by the way, as well. But just look at that tire buildup. You can really see the oil and tires, kind of everything coming off of these cars in front of them and how it just collects. And just that attention to detail that iRacing puts into everything as these cars kind of work their way through, crossing over 200 laps run here at Homestead.
Some great scenes there, and we also see the glare right there, Chad. Maybe we can get an onboard shot here with Austin Reedy. That glare's really worked its way back out here.
Oh, wow.
Off of turn 4 mainly and down into turn 1. I've noticed and we talked about equipment earlier. If you're running HDR enabled monitors and have HDR enabled, it's so much worse with that glare. I've noticed it's such a more realistic effect, and to that point, it's a lot harder to see. Especially if you're driving something like VR, it can be pretty tough getting down into the corners.
How does the old Manfred Mann song go? Blinded by the light. And that's what these guys are feeling looking at Reedy's onboard right now. Just that sun peeking over the grandstands. Just
Hey, I got a little Mike Joy type fact for you right there. You know who wrote that song?
Oh, I would love to know.
Bruce Springsteen. Never performed it, as far as I'm aware.
Very interesting.
Album. But he wrote that song, but it went to Mumford and Sons instead.
I'm sorry.
Manfred and Sons.
I was Manfred. Manfred Mann. I was gonna say that's a little bit older than Mumford and Sons, but hey, you know what? Throwing facts out there, I love it. We gotta have some balance. You got the music knowledge. I'll have the racing, and we're gonna go from here on out and just have a good time with it.
I can't get you past country and some Hair Nation rock. That's about it, Chad.
I'm the exact opposite. I'm everything but country, and I'm okay with that.
Backdoor action here on the track. Having a great time here in the JCTV booth. Remember, you can catch us next week. I might not be around because I might actually go ahead and put an entry into the Cup Series here, but at Las Vegas, same bad time, same bad place, right here on JCTV. 7:30 p.m. is when practice starts. Broadcast should go live about 15 minutes after that, right around 7:45, 7:50 p.m. next Saturday night, live from the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway. As these guys go another 400 miles on the intermediate track. Some similarities here to Homestead, some differences. We got a try over there at Las Vegas compared to the oval here at Homestead. I still love this track so much more, Chad, just because Homestead is so great, especially in real life, but in the sim as well. Just no other oval out there. It's actually just like a regular oval 1.5-mile track. I mean, every other 1.5 miles is pretty much a quad oval or a tri-oval, right? So Homestead just presents such a unique challenge out here.
Yeah, I definitely love these more unique track shapes because, you know, you think everything's a tri-oval, everything's a quad oval, but then you have this, and we've got, you know, you talk about Vegas, and then going to Phoenix with their dog leg next 3 weeks, and we're going to see caution.
Field, Cameron Caldwell hangs on. He blinked out, and Alex Princeton in the 5 almost ran him over here off of turn 4 last lap. I don't know that we'll be able to catch a replay of that as we documented at the top. Some issues with technical
there's
replay.
The replay.
Yeah, Alex timed him pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, and then you see them all checking up behind him and able to just kind of keep things rolling. But yeah, I mean, it's still, you see the 12 and the 5 there, and they've got 2 cars right behind them, all just dogfighting for position as the race rolls on.
And one other thing of note here, Chad, is the pit window is open. We got 58 to go just inside of it. And these guys can make it to the end from this point forward, as far as I can tell. So be watching here for these guys to start thinking about moves to the pit lane. There's my roadside coming out calling the pit lane. But expect these guys to be down in the next, I'd say, 10 laps or so.
It's okay.
To make their final stops for the race if this race does stay green.
I've called them liveries about 20 times tonight, so I don't think we have to worry about road versus oval terminology here. But there's a look at your leader, Jake Hickson. He's turned 49 laps on his current set of good years. And as we get closer and closer to the close of his pit window, it's going to be interesting to see, because I think at this point he's just hoping, he's just praying for a caution compared to the 23 who's of Dallas Pataska, who's just losing time to him slowly but surely. Maybe a 10th here, maybe a 10th there. But he's on 12 laps fresher tires. He has 12 more laps of fuel in the tank. So where does he stop is the further back in the field, the car that we talked about just a little bit, Brandon Figliola. Up to 8th right now, and he's still got a gap to the short run specialist of crits. And he actually just got by crits, so he's going to be up to 7th now for Figliola.
Listening in to the radio, scanning all the channels. The 18 of Robert Anderson looks like he's going to be the first to flinch from the top 15 to make his pit stop. He's down pit road. It looks pretty clean from him. He's on pit road here. We'll see. There we go. We got him on our picture. Should be 4 tires and fuel. And like I said, as long as this race stays green, the window's open. These guys can make it to the end. So Anderson choosing to be the first to try to make that move.
One thing about this car that kind of breaks the immersion for me is that the rear tires are not red to complete the Red Bull that we did see when Red Bull was in NASCAR. It was probably, a decade ago by now. That was an interesting feature that they put on those cars, is having the rear tires be red to kind of fill out the bull that they have on the cars. And he is off and away, taking 2 tires. I believe it was only 2 in fuel, so he's off and away here to go the rest of the way.
Oh, you got 4 right there.
I don't know how to count it. Okay.
Tell. It looked like the right side's jacked up, but nonetheless, I don't think you would want to take 2 tires at this point, Chad, with still 53 laps remaining in the race. You're going to want all 4 tires to get to the end. The tires do wear a lot here at Homestead. I'd say second to Atlanta in terms of 1.5-mile tracks in the tire wear and the tires, or the beating the tires take here on the Cup cars. So Anderson, the first to flex and pit. And I'm surprised, really, no one else has made the same decision for now. The first that I see that has is actually 3 laps down right now. That's the 85 of Jonathan Medeiros. I am terrible with that last name.
And that's okay. Everybody's got names that they're bad. I did a Daytona 500 last night over on GSRC, and there were a bunch of names in there that I could not get right. But that's the thing about sim race. You kind of get to know people, and you get to know their names over time, and the more that you see them, the more that you will get them right at least. So you'll get Medeiros at some point here tonight.
We watch Dallas Pataska right here. As you documented, he's fallen away from his teammate. He's 3 seconds off the pace now of, or not off the pace, excuse me, but off of Jake Hickson. His teammate is consistently about a 10th off the pace of what Jake is doing. So be interesting to see. You mentioned how they have 12 lap difference on these strategies. If Dallas can do anything about maybe potentially running long and getting even further off sequence from Jake. We'll take a look at Sean O'Brien here. He's getting passed by Andrew T. Jones, who is on fresh tires. Andrew is a lap down. He's trying to become the first car one lap down if he could pass the two guys on pit road right now and get in that lucky dog position if the yellow were to fly.
Yeah, just look at that run that he got, how quickly he was clear of Sean O'Brien. I mean, he got to the inside back through 3 and 4, and he's already 20-plus car lengths ahead for Andrew T. Jones, so able for him to be the first car lap down, just in case that caution comes out. More takers now coming off of pit road. This is a look at Jason Taylor. He just came down pit road, so he now inherits that first car one lap down position. Sorry, actually, no, coming off of pit, or as he comes off of pit road, Andrew Jones gets by him, but Cameron Caldwell, he is now working his way off of pit road, and it's going to be interesting to see where everybody cycles out. But here up front is still the 32 of Jake Hickson running away with things, as he's got 4 seconds out the back to his teammate Dallas Pataska.
As you documented, Cameron Caldwell, the next to flinch to pit road, along with the 11 of Jason Chambers. Those two are on and off right now. Looks like Chambers is going to fall behind Caldwell. Chambers just now getting off pit road. Caldwell passing him as Chambers on the exit road right there. That is one thing unique in iRacing, is you do have to take the exit road. I guess it's not unique in iRacing. That is the same thing they follow in real life. But you do have to take the exit road. It is a requirement on iRacing, as it is in real life. But the entry, you do not have to worry about taking the entry access road, which is actually right here in turn 3. As you can kind of see it there on our picture, you can just pull right off in turn 4. Makes it a lot easier for pit road entry, Chad, for these guys.
Yeah, it's definitely very interesting, and one thing that makes it a little more difficult, to me at least, is the transition from the banking to the flat of the infield as you're coming down to pit road. It can definitely upset the car if you catch it just wrong. If you try to carry maybe too much speed or get it at the wrong aim. Coming down pit road right now is the 36 of Dylan Kritz. He's going to take 4 tires and fuel, and he's one of the first guys that was, further up towards the front of the field as he works his way now off of pit road. 4 tires and fuel, and he is away clean. But yeah, he was running, I think, 5th or 6th when he decided to come down, and we'll see where he cycles back out, because pit strategy and how that has kind of fallen out for him really has been his strong suit so far this season.
Absolutely. Watch Dylan Kreitz here. See what he can do now, having pitted. He is behind a couple guys that have already taken tires, though, Chad. So he'll need to carve his way through those guys if he wants to get going back forward. If we get a late race yellow, Dylan is absolutely one to watch because of his short run pace that he's had all night long. Sounds like Austin Reedy in the 79 is thinking about a pit stop now.
Yeah, and Kreitz, by the way, he finished 2nd in the oval in the Daytona 500 by less than a quarter of a tenth of a second. Wow, what a great move by him. Power move around the outside of the 5 there. He also finished 5th last week at the Daytona Road Course, so a very strong showing so far. We'll have to see where he cycles out. Currently running 16th, but he's going to inherit a bunch of positions by guys pitting in front of him.
See Sean O'Brien, his teammate, who was actually trailing just behind him off of pit road right there. So not much difference there. 2 laps difference on those tires, but about 2 seconds of difference now between the drivers on the track.
Yeah, and that's
Austin Reedy was the other one that I said whoa to. So I saw what was going on in our picture, but I also saw Austin Reedy's pit entry, and man, was he tracking toward the inside pit wall.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I've noticed, by the way, speaking of this 36 and his teammate back behind him as well, is that Kreitz is really, he's got that short run speed, but it kind of falls off. His teammate, though, back behind of Sean O'Brien, not exactly the same. He's able to hold his own the course of an entire tire run.
Yeah, he's been having a quiet night so far. I don't think we've called his name too many times there in that 65 car. He's actually just behind our picture here, getting passed by Austin Reedy in the 79. Austin out here on fresh tires. 1 lap fresher than Sean's, but Austin, big wiggle from the 79 right there. He's able to hang on. He's trying to make the most of his fresh rubber and track down the 11 of Jason Chambers, who pitted a couple laps before these guys. I think it was about 5 laps before the guys behind him made their stops.
Yeah, and you can see this run that the 65 is getting on him off the corner. Sure, he has fresher rubber, does a 79, but they're not up to temperature right away as you come off of pit road. It takes them a lap or two to get there. The 65, with that 1 lap advantage, they're up to temperature. We'll have to see how that cycles out because the 65 right on his tailgate as they come down the back straightaway. Man, we're mixing up all of our cars. I said tailgate right there, and this is not the truck series that you typically run in.
Yeah, absolutely. But nonetheless, 40 laps to go as Jake Hickson crosses the line. 39 to go, right? I don't know. I can't remember which car I'm looking at. Jake's coming to 39 right now. He's coming off of turn 4.
49, by the way. 39?
No, absolutely 39. I'm looking at it on our graphic right there as we watch Austin Reedy work past Dakota Knoll right here. This is not for position. Dakota's a lap down, actually 2 laps down to Austin right now as they cross the stripe. So your top 5 have not had their pit stops yet. Excuse me, top 4 now. Jake Hickson, Dallas Pataska, Ty Eppolito, and Terry Cooper Jr. have not made their stops. Robert Anderson in the 18, as I mentioned, was the first to kind of flex toward pit road. He is the first car leading the way that has made stops, just ahead of the 12 of Cameron Caldwell. And just as I say that, Dallas Pataska to pit road before Jake Hickson. Even though he could have gone longer, he wants those fresher tires sooner.
Yeah, so he comes down pit road, and it's going to be fun to watch, see where he cycles back out here, especially in terms of traffic, because there's about 30 or so. It feels like 30, but it's probably more like 20 or so. They're working their way now through turns 3 and 4. Meanwhile, in 1 and 2, there's like 4 cars over on that end of the racetrack. So it's going to be fun to see how his cars cycle out here down pit road on exit as we take a look at Dallas Pataska down and away. Your leader is still the 32 of Jake Hickson.
So Pataska's going to lose a lot of spots right here and have quite a few cars to get by. He falls to 11th by the time he's reaching the exit of the access road. He's down to 13th right now. Remember, the top 3 have not made stops yet. Sounds like Jake Hickson and Ty Eppolito are making their stops, and I think Terry Cooper Jr. is coming behind him as well. Here comes your top 3 to pit road to see who can get in and off cleanly on pit road. Clean stop. This should be the final one for the night, assuming they stay green.
Yeah, nice and tidy on his entry was the 32 of Hickson. That's definitely one of those things that you need to be careful of in these cars, just because of how upset they can get by the transition in the banking or under braking if you get the bias just wrong on entry. But he takes 2. He's going to take 4 here and be down and away here just momentarily. But overall, Jake Hickson, I mean, just a great showing from him and his entire Dynamic Autosports team as he gets rolling back off pit road.
New leader actually goes to the 18 of Robert Anderson right now. He has 20 lap old tires out there right now, and he's got 35 and a half to go. He is your new leader ahead of Austin Reedy. Reedy making his Galaxy debut, has himself positioned perfectly in second right now. His tires are 8 laps older, or 8 laps older than Jake Hickson. See if Reedy can maintain enough of a gap over Hickson. I think Reedy should be able to track down Robert Anderson before the end of the race tonight, but the strategy that these guys have employed has them sitting pretty in track position right now.
I don't know if it's something to do with how much the tires have fallen off. There's a 10-lap differential between Anderson and Reedy. But last lap, Reedy, 32.4 compared to 33.2 of Robert Anderson. And he is definitely gaining quick. The gap just under 2 seconds right now.
We had a 3 wide off 2 moment right there for Jake Hickson. I'm still tracking him over here on my client side of the sim just to see the progress of this guy. Made it 3 wide with Braden Proudfoot and Dylan Kreitz. Worked by him. He's working by Sean O'Brien now, which is going to put him up to 5th. Dallas is a couple seconds up the road, though, so realistically, the first one that's on super fresh tires, Dallas Pataska, fastest car on track your last lap. Just got past it. Cameron Caldwell did Dallas, so he's tracking down Austin Reedy now. He's only a second up the road is Reedy from Pataska.
Yeah, and we just saw it on board just a moment ago. The sun barely a blip anymore as you come off of turn number 4 from the driver's perspective. And that's going to definitely make them a little more comfortable as this race goes on. Not quite as blinding. Just as you get right there through the exit of the corner, there's a slight sun peeking out, but otherwise you are clear as it's going to duck behind, and you can see this huge shadow at the grandstand's cast as they go through turns 1 and 2.
Get ready here, Chad. Dallas has caught Reedy. He's making his move. To the inside goes the 23 on the 79. Give second place to Dallas Pataska, and right there in front of him is the 18 of Robert Anderson. I think Anderson is a good old-fashioned set and duck right there out front.
Yeah, I was about to say something about, Pataska maybe having that fishing reel out and kind of just reeling them in slowly but surely. But no, he just flew past both Reedy and Anderson to take the lead, and he's already half second up the road. He's just pulling away by quite a huge margin. But look at this battle for second now between the 18, the 32 of Hickson sneaking in there as well. Hickson, your leader before the cycle of pit stops, and he's going to charge his way up the road. He takes 2 for 1 there down the back straightaway, and now he sets his sights on Dallas Pataska.
Across the line right there, 30 laps remaining in this race. Pataska to the lead. Hickson up to second now and is slightly just a couple hundredths of a second faster than your leader, Pataska. Austin Reedy has completed his pass on Robert Anderson. I think Anderson, while I admire the strategy that he employed right there, very aggressive, coming to pit road super early, I just don't know that it's going to pay off for him. But right now, he does have some great track position if a yellow were to fall, and extra sets laying in the pits for all of these drivers.
Yeah, that's one thing to pay attention to as we get deeper into this run. Of course, your leaders only have 10 laps on their tires, but say, 15 to go or so, a caution comes out. How many guys will come in to take fresher tires? We've seen how much of a difference fresh rubber pays here in this race.
Oh, absolutely everybody's coming if we get a yellow. I mean, they have the extra sets in the pits to burn, no matter if you've pitted under the yellows that we had to start stage 3. But, I mean, absolutely everybody's coming for fresh tires. There's no way you can give it up. I mean, the guys that have pitted later pretty much have great track position at this point already, save for maybe Terry Cooper Jr., who's running 9th, and the 95 car of Nolan Hawkson, who's running 19th currently. They're the only two that have pitted within the last 10 laps that don't already have some great track position out there.
This is a look out the nose of Hickson, by the way. Just look how much that rear bumper of Pataska just growing as the lap goes on. He's going to get a great run here off the corner, and he's just reeling him in. Slowly but surely, here comes Hickson trying to get that lead that he once had back.
Fastest on track is actually Ty Ippolito right now. Ty running 5th. He's about 7 seconds off this lead battle right now, and Hickson is there, Chad.
Could we see a new driver get their first win of 2021 here with Dallas Pataska? Can Hickson get his first win as well? So Pataska won last week. He's going to go for his second. Hickson trying to go for his first. Ippolito, talk about him making his charge. He won the Daytona 500. Just what a show that these dynamic autosports guys are putting on. Is going up the inside is Jake Hickson.
Big move for the race lead right here. Jake Hickson is clear of Dallas Pataska. With 25 to go, Chad, I don't foresee Dallas having enough in his car at this point, just based off of the way his run's gone so far, of being able to continue to try to challenge Jake here for the lead.
No, it looked like maybe for a couple of laps there, Hawkson was holding up Pataska, but now that he is clear and he's got that fresh air on the nose of his Ford Mustang, I mean, he's just going to try to pull away and do everything that he can to just hold on to this lead. Already 3/10 up the road from Dallas Pataska, Austin Reedy. He has lost the position to Ty Ippolito. Take a look back here at the 19 machine as you see him clear there and working his way up. And Austin Reedy, a great showing in his Galaxy Cup Series debut here in 2021, currently running in the 4th position.
It's a pretty good racy battle right here.
Yeah.
Terry Cooper Jr. getting by the 18 of Robert Anderson. Anderson's having himself a great night out here.
Oh,
I mean,
a lot of guys are having
first-
some great unexpected runs.
Yeah, Robert's first year in the Galaxy Series. Same with Terry, but Robert not really being around Galaxy. I mean, I don't know how much experience these guys have had with full distance cup racing, but minus what NIS gives you 4 times a year. But nonetheless, showing great pace here late in the race, approaching 20 to go.
And real quickly, you talk about NIS and kind of the changes maybe to the NASCAR schedule. Any newer races that you're looking forward to as the season breaks down? I mean, we've got, Bristol Dirt, Road America, Indianapolis is now on the road course for the Brickyard. Any races that really stand out to you and kind of say, hey, I really want to either run that, watch that, or go to that?
Absolutely. Coda has been an open-wheeled paradise for F1, IndyCar. I fully expect the stock cars to be an absolute handful on that track, especially going through the S section in Sector 1. So Coda, Circuit of the Americas down there in Austin, Texas, is absolutely one that I got circled on my calendar just for the sheer fact that I fully expect that to be a lot of fun for these drivers. I mean, road courses, not always everyone's favorite, but tracks that are hard to drive where the car doesn't want to stay with you and it just does not cooperate, Coda definitely looks like one of those places as we get there later this year.
Yeah, for me, it's going to be the Indianapolis road course. I mean, the way that those guys ran it in the Xfinity Series last year, I mean, they put on quite the show. And the first weekend that both IndyCar and the stock car shared a track together, definitely a great job there. I would have loved to have seen the Brickyard 400 become a restrictor plate race. Of course, with this new engine package, they don't have that restrictor plate anymore. But when the Xfinity Series on the oval at Indianapolis became a plate race, it was a very fun, very built-up pack race. But going to that road course there in Indianapolis, it's known for Formula One. It's hosted there. It's got the Indy cars every month of May and now in September as well. Just overall, that's the one track that I'm looking for. And one thing I've noticed is you and I both said road courses. They're now running 7 road course races this season in NASCAR. And it's definitely going to be fun to watch as the season goes on.
Am I allowed to add one to my list?
Oh, you can add as many as...
Make a list?
You can make a list, yeah. This is like Christmas time.
Nashville Super Speedway. I fully expect us to eventually get that in the sim, hopefully before they actually get there in real life. Nashville's going to be another good one because you haven't seen a race on there since 2011, 2012 with the Nationwide Series. It's shorter than a mile and a half, but it's bigger than a mile. So that unique intermediate track type is kind of broken a little bit with Nashville Super Speedway. And even though it calls itself a super speedway, being less than a mile and a half, that would be one that I definitely want to see as well on the calendar.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. We did recently get Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway added to the sim, and going to be fun to watch it to see maybe that gets added later on down the road. I'd love to see the current Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course added as well. But another one, not technically NASCAR related, but speaking of Nashville, that Nashville road course race, the street course actually for the Indy cars, I mean, that's going to be a fun one as well. They have an entire section that's just over a bridge back and forth. But we're coming to 15 to go. We need to get back to this racing here because things are starting to pick right back up.
Well, I was going to ask you, with inside 20 to go here, you know how Fox always does their credit one ones to watch or whatever, but who's your driver you're keeping your eye on for the end of this race?
You know what? I think that with the way that things are working out, I would have said Dylan Kreitz, and unfortunately for him, just the way that this run is broken out, unless we get a caution, and that's going to shake everything up, of course, but he's currently found himself further down in 12th position. I mean, if he ends up needing to, if everybody ends up needing to take a stop under caution, Kreitz is going to be the one that's going to work his way up through the field. He's got that short run speed. He's proven it every single start and restart that we've gotten throughout this race. Other than him, though, if things stay green, the one guy you need to keep your eye on is going to be Ty Ippolito. He's teammates with both Hawkson and Pataska, and I'm sorry I just stole your answer, but I mean, your Daytona 500 winner, he's been proving himself just working his way up through the field through some struggles today.
Yeah, he was absolutely going to be one that I said we should keep our camera on because Ty has closed the gap down to Jake Hawkson. It's still sitting about 4.5 seconds right now, but he does still have 13 laps to make that up. And he's been consistently a couple tenths faster than Jake over the last couple laps. So he was going to be my pick, though I was going to put a caveat in there just like you to watch Dylan Kreitz if we get a late race restart because that car is super fast on the short run.
Yes.
So if we get this late race restart, potentially from a late race yellow, watch that 36 car to be a factor. But keep your eye on that 19. He's closing in his teammates up front, both Dallas Pataska and Jake Hawkson.
Yeah, that's something to talk about. By the way, I know that we do have green-white checkers in this series, of course. Or I'm sorry, NASCAR calls it overtime now. But either way, a caution here is about 4 laps as we've seen so far tonight. We're working lap 256, so you got the window is closing before we even get to that overtime period, no matter what. Robert Anderson, though, he is working lap 44 on his tires. He might be cutting it close if we end up going that far.
Inside 13 to go, 12 to go. Looks like 11 to go now for your race leader, Jake Hawkson. Still working lap traffic at the moment. It's been about the only thing that's really held him up. Ty's starting to get into that lap traffic now. He was only 0.2 of a lap faster that last time by. It's kind of halted his progress of chasing down his teammate in the lead. Dallas, meanwhile, has kind of fallen away from Jake. Dallas is just about 3 seconds back from Jake at this point. He's only 1.5 seconds up the road. And now just 1 second up the road from Ty.
Yeah, we just crossed 10 to go this time by the line. Hawkson out front, of course. Him and Pataska ran identical lap times. All 3 of your top 3 did a great job matching each other that lap. Before that, though, Hawkson was 0.2 faster than Pataska, but Ippolito in third was 0.2 faster than Hawkson. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. If things stay green, that's not going to give time for anybody up here to catch anybody. But Ippolito just praying for a caution, and from then on out, I think Ippolito might have the option to stay out because his pace right now, even with these 28-lap-old tires, could pay off for him. But as you said earlier, I mean, if a caution comes out, everybody has to stop, right?
Oh, absolutely. At this point, I mean, even the freshest tires in the field right now, looking at it on my telemetry, is about 25 laps since they've made their stop.
Jason Taylor 1 lap down. He is on 3-lap-old tires. Maybe he is praying for a caution because if a caution comes out, he's on 3-lap-old Goodyears. That would be huge for him.
Well, unfortunately for him, he is a lap down now, and he's got to pass Andrew Jones for the lucky dog spot. And Andrew's like 3/4 of a lap ahead of Jason. So, and even then, the lucky dog still puts you at the tail end of the field. So, unfortunately for Jason, that kind of knocks him out of the running for the moment. Here, inside 10 to go. Like I said, just if we get that late race yellow, the one to watch is Dylan Kreitz. I just don't expect it. I mean, the way the race has gone, save for the start of stage 3 and some hiccups from some guys there, and we just haven't seen the yellows tonight. So I don't see how anyone can really chase down Jake Hickson at this point. Ty hasn't gained enough pace on Jake to close that gap. It is down to 3.5 seconds at this point with 6 to go. So unless Jake has a big hiccup or has some difficult time with lap traffic, I just don't see him losing enough time for Ty to catch him. There is a battle for second coming up here in just a few moments.
Yeah, this is pretty far back in the field. That's the 37, of course, that we were just talking about, of Jason Taylor. That he's on the freshest tires of the field, right in front of him. Andrew T. Jones in the 64. He's going to have to pit soon. He's currently working lap 57 on his tires. So I'd expect him to come down. It's become to 5 to go here for your leader of Jake Hickson. And wow, how time flies.
Battle for second. If we can get the camera trained over to Ty Ippolito. He's made the move on Dallas Pataska to the inside. He's got that preferred line. He's going to drive away from Dallas now. He's got clean sailing toward Jake. I just don't know if he can make up 3 seconds in 4 laps.
There is no way possible that he can do that. They matched each other by .084 last lap. So there's no way Ippolito, or that Pataska, or sorry, that Ippolito is going to catch Hickson. But he's got second place right now. Hickson looking to punch his ticket to playoff as well.
I also just realized a note from earlier in the race. I totally called the 84 as Mike Tellier. That's been Alonso Chicano all night, so my apologies there earlier in the broadcast. It took me till now to realize it because I just saw Alonso hit pit road. But yeah, nonetheless, 3 to go right here at the line. And Ty is faster by 2/10 that last lap. But like I said, 3 seconds and now at 3 laps. I just don't think he can do it without a yellow.
Yeah, just running away with things, of course. And the car that we talked about earlier was Brandon Figliola. We see him here working all over the 79 of Reedy. Can he do anything to salvage a top 5 in his Galaxy Cup debut? It doesn't look like it as Figliola goes up the inside. Askus and Reedy down to 6th.
Still a great debut for Austin Reedy. What a strong run. Looking back at your leader, it's inside of 3 seconds with 2 to go.
But there's
not
no way.
Enough time for Ty.
We keep talking about that interval, and there's just no way it's going to be made up. I mean, even if Hickson misses a mark just slightly, I don't think it's going to be enough. It has to be a major spin or something for Jake Hickson if he wants to choke away his chance at this win. White flag is out, I believe, yes, for Jake Hickson, and he's going to put on a show here so far, coming down through turns 1 and 2 for the final time. What a great job he has done so far tonight. For him, it's going to be Jake Hickson just pulling away with things here at Homestead. He looks for his first win as here at Homestead in the Galaxy Cup Series in 2021. So Jake Hickson off of turn number 4 for the final time. You see him slide his tire just a little bit there, but that's not a celebration. Hickson, a winner in the Galaxy Cup Series.
What a drive. What a way to get your first win. Qualify on pole. Win stage 2. Missed out on stage 1 to his teammate right there that we're looking at across the line, Brandon Figliola, but to cap it off with a win. That's 6 playoff points he walks away with tonight. And those really matter come later in the season, Chad, for that number 32. Ty Ippolito coming across second. It ended up getting the gap down to just 2 seconds there at the close of the race. Dallas to Pataska in 3rd. Terry Cooper Jr. 4th. 5th for Brandon Figliola. Austin Reedy with a great debut in 6th. Robert Anderson in 7th. Braden Proudfoot in 8th. John O'Brien in 9th, and Jason Chambers rounds out your top 10.
What a great top 10 and a great showing that we've seen throughout this field, of course. But in 11th was Cameron Caldwell, then Alex Princeton, Dylan Kritz 13th, then 14th was Alan Roel, then William Boisvert in 15th, Zach Probst and Andrew T. Jones, then Jason Taylor. Nolan Hawkson in 19th, 20th was Randy Drumhiller, then Dakota Knoll. We see some donuts there from the 32 of Jake Hickson. Dakota Knoll, though, 21st, 22nd was Josh Coppernell. Thanks to him for being our in-race reporter. He's the first car 2 laps down, followed by Philip Loy and Jonathan Medeiros, and Kevin Franks, Brian Mabry, Andrew Russo, Joshua Gaiman, Alonzo Chicano, Cody Luke. David Duke is 31st. He is first car that did not finish this race. He was 80 laps down. Then Dave Fuge Jr., one of the admins here at Galaxy Cup Series. Then Thomas Rutherford, Dylan Schmidt, and Dane Cruz. Wrapping up the field, of course, Dane with his connection issues early on. And as the race went on, did not fix themselves as the race went on. But congratulations to Jake Hickson for putting on a stellar show. Pit strategy came into play here at the end of things. Your top 5. 4 of them, of course, ran 37-plus laps on their tires. Fagliola, what a great job for him working his way up through the field towards the end of the race and finishing inside the top 5.
What a stellar night from these guys, especially Dynamic Autosport. I mean, and it's an all-podium, or a podium lockout for Dynamic Autosport with Jake, Ty, and Dallas. So the rest of these Galaxy Cup Series guys got a little bit of work to do in the mile-and-a-half department. It is the first mile-and-a-half race of the year, though, so they got plenty of time to get it done.
Yeah, getting set.
I think we got
getting set to be joined here.
Interviews.
Yep, getting set to be joined here by Jake Hickson, the winner of tonight's race. And Jake, what a show you put on. The strategy paid off just a little bit throughout the race, and overall, I mean, you just dominated the second half of the session.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I mean, really, though, it wasn't me. It was a team effort this week. I mean, we all put in the laps to make the set great, and you know that. And I got to say, we finished 1, 2, 3, and that's what it was all about. So it wasn't me dominating; it was the whole team dominating. So that's it. Just couldn't be a better day for DAS.
Did we just see you blow your engine trying to celebrate too hard?
Yes, it did just blow up. I should have kept moving a little bit. It didn't have any air going through it, so. You know, it's real life out here. You know, they blow up.
Yeah, hey, man, you race hard, you party even harder. Congratulations on another win. Talk us through that race. Early on, it looked like some of the other guys, like Dylan Kreitz, for example, he had the short run pace. On every start and restart, he got a great jump, but you guys slowly reeled him in. What was the difference between the cars as the run went on?
You know, I couldn't tell you what the differences were, other than that we were just faster long run. So that was just our strategy. I mean, we knew it was a 267 lap race, and we wanted to be there at the end, and we knew we needed to be fast at the end of the run. So that's what we planned for, and that's what paid off. So honestly, I got a little worried there when cautions started coming out at the beginning of that second or last stage there, and I thought, oh no, here, you know, cautions breed cautions, and I thought, oh, this is not what we need. But we all got it together and started racing, and it paid off in our favor.
Yeah, what was it like there towards the end of the race? You kind of had your teammate Ty kind of catching up on you as the run went on. He got past Dallas and was hunting you down, but it looked like it was too little too late.
Yeah, I saw him getting a little closer back there. Honestly, I was just enjoying the last 5 laps there. I was, you know, because once again, we put in a lot of effort to get to this point, and I just wanted to enjoy it. And I also saw a bunch of cars in front of me, too, and I didn't want to get mixed up with them and end up in the wall or something like that. So I was definitely, you know, easing it down, just taking my time, making sure I didn't make any mistakes. So, but yeah, I saw him coming, and I knew if he got any closer, I was going to step on the gas and get out of there. But yeah, no, once again, it was a great win for DAS, and I'm just glad we finished 1, 2, 3 today.
All right, man. Hey, what a great run for you. To wrap things up here, Jake, any sponsors you want to thank? Any shouts you have to give?
Well, I'd like to give a big shout out to my parents back home. Thanks, Mom and Dad, for watching it, and also a big shout out to my wife. She's here with me. She just came over here and gave me a big high five. So I appreciate her support, Maggie. Thanks, and thank you guys. You guys do a stellar job doing the broadcasting, and thank you so much for what you do up there in the booth.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely put on a show, and I have to say that shout out to the spouse after race wins is something I hear way too often up here in the booth. So, congratulations to you on another win, and hey, you know what? We have to appreciate, you know, the the spouses and those partners that help us and support us through these really expensive hobbies that we put on.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, couldn't do it without her help. That's 100% the truth.
Congratulations, Jake, on a great performance here, and you punch your ticket to the playoffs.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
That's Jake Hickson, winner of tonight's race from Homestead here in the Galaxy Cup Series. Getting set now, I believe, Eric, you have caught up with our second place finisher, Ty Ippolito.
Yeah, Ty, this is Eric here in the booth. What a great run for you. Just came up one spot short. What more did the Daytona 500 winner from this year need to get his teammate up front?
I needed a little bit more fuel and just some more speed.
So you ended up being a little short on fuel. Was that just the nature of the pit strategy you guys were trying to play at the end? Were you trying to be light to make sure you could have the least amount of weight in the car, or what was the deal there?
Yeah, I short fueled it to the end, and I thought I was gonna have more than I did. So I was saving the last 2 laps.
Well, nonetheless, you still walk away the points leader from tonight. What takeaways do you have from the first mile and a half of the season going forward to more mile and a half, especially next week at Las Vegas?
It's definitely fun. We had good long run pace, but we need to work on our short run pace.
Alrighty, well, before I let you go, Ty, anyone else you'd like to thank for your run tonight? Who helps you get it done on that 19 car?
I just want to thank everybody at Dynamic Autosports. They put in a good effort on the setup this week.
Alrighty, well, ladies and gentlemen, that is Ty Ippolito, your second place finisher from tonight in the number 19 Dynamic Autosport Toyota. Heading on over to Chad, he has caught up with your third place finisher, Dallas Pataska.
Dallas, what a great show for you and for the entire team over there at Dynamic Autosport. And maybe just talk our way through your strategy there. Your teammate, Ty, he just said that he was struggling with some fuel, maybe short field at the end of that race. Kind of talk us through your last couple of laps, because it looked like you just didn't have the speed that he had quite towards the end of that run.
No, not at all. We unloaded and went a little bit different direction to kind of test some things out, and my direction was all right for about 15 laps, and then it just kind of faltered off. But Ty and Jake and the rest of the guys did a great job on the path that they took, and really paid dividends on the long run, and I just had nothing for them there once they come up to me.
Yeah, what a great showing that you guys had tonight at Dynamic Autosport. What's it like? Of course, you won last week at the road course at Daytona. Ty, who finished just in front of you, I mean, he punched his ticket to the playoffs after the Daytona 500. And now Jake, the third driver from Dynamic Autosports to get their playoff bid. And we're only 3 weeks into the season.
Yeah, it's going to make for interesting end of the season once we get around to that point. But yeah, up until we get to that point, just going to try to learn as much as we can and maybe keep a few things up the sleeve in case we need it. But I don't think I need to go too much into that part.
Yeah, how does it feel kind of racing your way up through the field, but then realizing the only cars kind of around you at that point are your teammates? Does it kind of make it, take the load off just a little bit, realizing, okay, I know these guys, I'm communicating with these guys, I can trust these guys? Does that make it any easier than, say, trying to work your way up through the guys like Terry Cooper, Austin Reedy, that you might not have the most strong connection with in terms of how you feel with them on the track?
I think it's a little bit of both. I feel more confident in maybe how I might race them because I'm familiar with them. I'm comfortable. I know, what I can get away with and what I can't. But on the other hand, the cars are almost always, extremely close throughout most of the runs. So it makes it quite tricky there. Whereas with a lot of the other guys, they don't have the same type of team support that we do. So we do create a pretty sizable advantage in the setup sometimes. So there's pros and cons to each side, and either way, you're probably going to draw the short end of the stick at one point or another. So it's just being ready for that, and once things go sideways, just reacting in the positive method.
You talk about, we mentioned kind of how you have your playoff berth punched. Ty got his as well. Now, Jake, how do you kind of share the love there at Dynamic Autosport and maybe give one to Brian or Dave or someone like that?
Well, luckily it is a pretty long season, so I don't think we have to worry about that too much as of now. But um, again, with it being such a long season, I have confidence that all the guys over at Dynamic have just a plethora of opportunity to succeed and punch their own ticket into the playoffs.
Hey, congratulations on a third place finish and best of luck the rest of the season.
Thanks, guys.
As Dallas Pataska, third place finisher here at Homestead, and what a great show. Any final thoughts as we begin to wrap things up here, Eric?
I mean, just what a drive from the Dynamic Autosport guys. They pretty much dominated the race, right? I mean, Brandon Figliola came out of nowhere and won stage 1 after Jake took the pole, and then Jake goes out and wins stage 2. Dallas makes his name known with his drive up to second, and then he still challenges Jake through stage 3, but ultimately Ty came out of nowhere to take second away from Dallas, but he just didn't have enough time to get to Jake. So these Dynamic Autosport guys absolutely have the mile and a half figured out already, which is a great thing so early on in the season for them. A lot of catching up to do for the guys, the likes of Black Flag Motorsports, Radius Racing, and some of the other independents, Piston Broke Racing, and Spartan Sim Racing as well. Those are some of the teams here in Galaxy. They have a lot of ground to make up. I fully expect them to make that ground up. It's just a matter of how long it'll take them throughout the season to get that done. Nonetheless, third race of the season here in the Galaxy Cup Series is absolutely a great one. And we'll count at the 5th race if you want to count the Clash and the duels, or the dual races. But so far, some great action here in the Galaxy Cup Series, and I'm fully excited to see more of it as the season starts to progress.
Yeah, what a fantastic race that these guys have put on week in and week out. We've seen 2 races at Daytona put on such a fantastic show, staying in the state of Florida for Homestead, the first mile and a half of the season here, and they put on a great show as well. Make sure you join us back here on JCTV next week as we head out west to Las Vegas for the race there. Same distance of 400 miles, 267 laps there, and it's going to be a fun one. And we have to take a moment to thank all of our sponsors. We got Majors Garage with our pole award. Have to thank In the Pits News as well for all their work here with JCTV and the Galaxy Cup Series as well. So as we wrap things up here from Homestead, Miami Speedway, for Eric Wineland, I am Chad Irvine, and for everybody here at JCTV, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week for the race there, 400 miles from Las Vegas. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will see you for a great race next time. Congratulations to Jake Hickson, a winner at Homestead.